Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geeky Geezers. Welcome, everybody. Okay, oh, look at this. What's this? Rosefire says something. Welcome to the Geeky Geezers, where the points don't matter. That's right, the points are like kale salad at a Texas barbecue company.
For all you Californians that moved to Texas.
I like kale, actually. I'm hearing
never touched this stuff. Don't know.
You know what's funny? At Olive Garden, they have zuppa Toscana, the soup.
Okay.
It's like a sausage soup, right? And I thought it was spinach in there, but it turns out, no, it's kale. And I'm like, well, that's actually rather good.
Well, greens are greens, I guess.
Yeah. But, you know, I kid myself into saying it's a healthy soup, even though it probably isn't.
Yeah.
But welcome. How you doing? This is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli.
Now I'm thinking I should try frying up some kale in bacon grease and see how that is. That might be good. I can tell myself that's healthy, right?
I had a BLT a little while ago.
There you go.
All right. Have a great show, geezers. Long live Shatner.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we're going to talk about Shatner later. I know. I think I stuck him in the headline because why not? You know, this is a weird news night. It's like all of the stories, I guess, are worth talking about, but they're all kind of off kilter a little bit. Like we have a Disney update later, so that's, I guess, the most mainstream thing. But
right, we like got a lot of people to talk about that sometimes they're their own worst enemies on social media. And sometimes, you know, you have a lot of respect for people that just either keep their mouths shut or just actually make a lot of sense. You know,
I made a comment that when you get older, you don't get wiser. You just learn when to keep your mouth shut.
Or you start caring less, so you start saying more shit.
Yeah. Howdy, fellas. Welcome, Auditor Dread, DPensec. It's that time. Gather around and bask in the geezer wisdom. What are you sipping on tonight, by the way?
Diet Squirt.
Got myself a mug, root beer, and a frosty cold can.
Nice.
I'm going through my mug thing. I'm telling you, what happened the other week was I got angry because I'm at the grocery store and I'm like, I usually drink. I'm a Coke drinker. I drink Coca-Cola, and I went in there and it's like $13.50 even for the 24 packs. I'm like, is this a joke?
Yeah.
This is the everything's skyrocketing though. It's not just the Coke.
I know. Let's go, Brandon. You know, just remember this when you go to vote, people. You know, when you're counting your pennies to buy yourself a pack of root beer, maybe take a look at who we're putting into office. You know,
I got a bad feeling that the efforts to curb inflation are now going to get all messed up because of what's going on with the banks too now.
No, see, this is the problem. Okay, this is
nobody knows what's going on. That's
I know exactly what's going on. It doesn't take a genius of economics to figure out what's going on. The same thing that's happening to the businesses is the same thing we've been talking about with the entertainment industry for so long. They've been dicking around with this DIE, you know, diversity, equity, you know, hire people because of the color of their skin, not their ability or willingness to do any actual real work. And then when things go to shit, they're wondering why they have to file for bankruptcy. But banks are too big to fail, so the government's got to print more money for them, which drives up inflation. And it's like, no, let the friggin' banks. You know, what's the Shatner line from Star Trek 6? Let them die. Yeah. You know? And then maybe the banks that come to take their place go, you know what? Maybe we should focus on making money. Heaven forbid. You know?
So I can save money and not pay $3.50 for a tuna kit. A little can of tuna and some crackers at the store.
Yeah, crying out loud. And what banks are the ones that are going bankrupt? It's the ones that have been,
Silicon Valley ones. Yeah.
Silicon Valley, exactly. And anyone who has any intelligence saw that coming, just like anyone who had intelligence saw the same thing happen with the housing crisis. You know, we see these things happen over and over and over. Hell, you read the articles about these things and you go, this is hasn't happened since this last crisis, which was like this crisis, which was like this crisis. It's like, gee, you'd think you'd start to catch on, you geniuses.
Remember Silicon Valley was supposed to save us all, and now they seem to be driving us into the tomb.
And the intelligent financiers were like, Silicon Valley, what do they produce? What do they make? You know, what exactly is the investment there? You know?
They make the metaverse.
Right. What they do is they control information. That's the problem. And when people start going, hey, we don't really like a bunch of elite wizards controlling information for us. You know what? I don't think I want to do business with them anymore. Holy crap, suddenly they go bankrupt. What the hell?
Thank you, Netter, for the hi, sweetie.
There you go.
You get a hello, love of my life.
Love you too, Netter.
But where was I going with that? I forgot. Oh, I was talking about inflation. Yeah, I ended up buying Pepsi because I don't usually buy Pepsi, but they were buy two get one free. And then I got a mug root beer and a Canada Dry ginger ale and a cherry Pepsi, and that's what I did.
Well, you know what they say, Pepsi is the poor man's Coke.
It's not as good. Cherry Pepsi's better though than regular Pepsi, but it's not. Some people like Pepsi better, so I'm not knocking any Pepsi fans in the chat. I wish they would have Pepsi throwback. I know sometimes they have that around Easter time or Passover time, I guess, because it has sugar in it. So, but howdy and good evening, everyone. Welcome, Rosefire. I see Mattel in the lineup. That's great. I look forward to Troy sitting those.
Yeah, I got some things to say there.
Yeah, I figured you're the toy expert. I figured I'd throw that in there since I'm always talking. I got a game article here. I figured I'd throw in a toy article so we get your opinion on that. But Zootopia, welcome. Matanui. Janet from another planet, welcome.
Hey, Janet, good to see you.
Oh, I liked her on your Friday Night Last call. You should have her on again.
I want to have her back, and this time I won't do something stupid that gets it
really though. Come on, it's an old 70s.
It's Disney. It's anything that touches Disney is kryptonite. So this is why you never see any clips, any memes, any photos or anything that are that Disney could go after, And I had forgotten that Schoolhouse Rock is now owned by Disney.
Ghibli's very bad about that too. They're very prestigious anime makers of Japanese animated movies in Japan, but they you do anything about them on YouTube, you're in trouble. So, in fact, I was even going to do a little presentation on Matchstick's channel during the Culture Fortress days, and I'm not showing video footage. I'm thinking even if you show images, you might.
There are two streams that I've had to take down. One was Janet's because and it's not her fault. I stupidly, to make the joke, did that little bit from Schoolhouse Rock. The other was Brandon, the anime guy. He was sharing some clips from anime.
It's ridiculous.
And I was like, man, for crying out loud.
It's ridiculous. We're not showing the whole show. This is for educational purposes.
What's even worse is that this. If anyone were to pay attention to what we shared on the anime, they were the anime's promos, right? Go out and buy this thing. And he was specifically saying, hey, this is one that I like. Check this out. You might be interested. And I was interested. I was everything he shared. I'm like, okay, maybe I go check out these anime videos, buy these DVDs or whatever. I get hit with a copyright thing. I'm like, screw you. You're not getting my money.
Troy, just grab a steak and pretend you had some greens like Ron Swanson.
Yeah, right.
But Daniel Herron, welcome, and I will be on stream with him Wednesday. We will be doing a rewatch of Black Sunday, the famous 1970s thriller. Do you remember that one?
Vaguely, just vaguely.
There's going to be a terrorist attack on the Super Bowl. I probably used the T word too early in the stream, so now I'm done.
Uh-oh. Anyway, good thing you're not monetized.
See, it's broadcast yourself, but not really.
Right.
I think they got rid of that moniker a long time ago on YouTube. But welcome, Daniel. Let me know, are you having a Batman show this week? I'll go ahead and promote that. Daniel Herron has a Batman show Monday afternoons, I believe, and sometimes he even talks about Batman. So there you go.
Two different meanings of the word
and
Batman.
Speaking of Batman and Superman, join us on Mr. Matchstick's channel on Tuesday. We'll be discussing the 3 Superman-Batman team-up movies, DC animated.
And that's the Week in Review. Thanks so much for stopping by, everybody.
Chris P., welcome. Mug Root Beer. The foam goes straight to your brain.
Yes, it does.
And some other things tonight. I'm telling you, there's some bad news this week. I was horrified by the in memoriam we're doing tonight. This is too young. This is ridiculous.
You can't tell me when someone dies at 60, it's natural causes. There's nothing natural about dying at 60.
You'd also... What is this thing? I'm going to read Rosefire. You also think people today would have learned from Beanie Baby craze not to invest in buying so many plastic Funko toys. Let me tell you a story, Rosefire. I was by my storage, right? I have a new storage locker in the city on the 2nd floor, so it doesn't get flooded. But anyway, I was going up because I had to retrieve some books from my storage, some writing books. And I was coming out, and someone was coming to the elevator, and it was a family. And they had bags and bags and bags of Funkos still in the packaging. And they were bringing those, I guess, up to their storage. And I'm thinking, is this the new Beanie Baby? That's what crossed my mind.
And the weird thing is, so many people in our community used to just rag on those things. Like, why do people like these? You know, and I've even heard some people being real critical saying, well, it's just these people that want to pretend to be nerds. Hey, look what I got on my desk. I'm a fan of something, you know?
I get having like a statue of your favorite character.
Yeah.
But I just think the Funkos are bizarre looking. But again, to each his own. I'm not,
Absolutely. I mean, but you know what? Everybody that I know of that has these things, and even listening to other YouTubers in the community, do you have any? No, I don't. Well, actually, I do have one. It was a gift. Same situation here. I have one, and it was a gift, and it was specifically a Klingon because, Klingon. Actually, I'm not sure that it was a Funko, but it was in that style, because there are also like the knockoffs, the other companies that do licensed dolls like that.
Oh, right. It's funny. They did a Burger King Happy Meal, Burger King Big Kids Meal line of Justice League, and they were like knockoff Funko Pops.
Yeah.
Like one was of the Joker, one was of Catwoman.
That's just not my thing, and this whole idea of and look, if there's something that you like, if you're a collector because you like it for you, go for it. But you have to ask yourself, is this something I really am passionate about? Is it something I really enjoy, or is it just some kind of FOMO? Because if that's what it is, do not do it. It is not worth it. Because if you ever find yourself in a situation where you can't find something in the stores and you're paying ridiculous prices on the secondary market, don't do it for an investment. You are not going to get your money out of it. I've seen it happen with it's Funko now. It was Beanie Babies. It was Cabbage Patch. It was Pet Rocks, for crying out loud.
Oh,
it was rocks that someone put in a box.
Do you know what I like, actually, that I don't know why they became as big as the Funkos, were the fig pins. I think I mentioned those to you before. They were like these enamel pins, larger. Like people used to collect enamel pins of things, but these were like larger. And they were actually rather cool looking. They looked like the characters they were based on. They'd have them for like Star Wars characters or Marvel or DC or video games, stuff like that, or anime characters. And you could buy these pins. If you go on Nerdrotic's channel, he has a bunch up in his background when he does streams.
Yeah.
But I thought those were kind of neat looking, and I could see those becoming a thing because you can display them. You could put them on a jacket or something, I'm assuming. You could
and Daniel Heron brings up a great point. He compares them to Hot Toys. Hot Toys are hyper realistic. I hesitate to even call them action figures because they are really just hyper realistic posable statues is what they are. And they're incredibly expensive. And if you have pets or kids, those things are going to get broken. So a good option is something like a Funko Pop. But
and I understand on maybe even owning a few. I don't understand people collecting them for investing. That's what I didn't get.
That is, and unfortunately, that's where the real market is. It's the people buying them on speculation because they think they're going to be valuable. Not, if you're buying onesies and twosies to put up on your shelves and stuff because it's it's an icon of something you really like, great. But if you have to get them all and you are, and I'm keeping them in box because they're going to be worth something someday. I mean, you do you, but see how that pays off for you.
Supposedly those Silicon Valley banks are going to mean gaming and comic book journalists are going to look for other lines of work. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
It happened years ago. Bend over and grab your ankles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely right. I mean, but yeah, we're only bringing up the Funko Pops because it came up in chat.
Sorry, wait, no, I'm sorry. What? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, that wasn't really one of the news articles we were planning to get into, but yeah.
No, we did that the other week. The landfill with the Funko Pops. Remember?
Yep.
Anyway, we might as well start with the news. We're going to skip good old days because, frankly, we'll probably talk enough about good old days during the stream because we're going to be, unfortunately, reminiscing about a certain actor here, which I was shocked by. I don't know if you're going to post it or should I?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll get it. I'm getting it right now.
I was shocked by this news over the weekend. It's actually kind of sad we're losing so many good actors.
Yeah.
And he wasn't that old. He's like only 60.
60,
like, come on.
Yeah.
Lance Reddick dies. John Wick, The Wire, Fringe, and Bosch actor was 60. I was shocked by this. I was a huge fan of the show Fringe. And I remembered him on there. He was funny. What was he like, the head of the division or higher up in the what was it, the FBI? And
Fringe was a lot like for a lot of people. You could draw a comparison to the X-Files.
Yes,
but what was interesting about his character was, unlike the higher ups in the FBI in X-Files, he was at least open. He was reasonably open-minded. Yes. Right, he would look at the evidence and he'd pay attention and go, okay, investigate it, do more, get me information, and authorize appropriately and stuff. And
I remember one episode where he went up to Dr. Walter Bishop and he said, "I really appreciate the good work you've been doing for us here." And then Walter Bishop turns to him and says, "I once had a fruit salad in Atlantic City, which is odd, because I usually don't like to eat fruit salad."
Yeah.
And then he goes over to Peter and he says, "Is he okay? Is he up in the head?" "No, he's not okay. I told you not to let him out of the inside."
Yes, exactly. No, he's not okay.
And it was just wonderful, and that's what made Fringe not just the fantastic stuff, but those little moments. And
yeah.
Lance Reddick, of course, played the more serious-minded character on that show. But yeah, Fringe and the X-Files, they belong to the same genre. They just went about the subject differently. But if you were to peg them both in a genre type, they would both come from the same genre. They were similar types of series. I love them both. I do think Fringe, to be blunt, stuck the landing better than the X-Files did, but they're both well worth watching. But let me go ahead and read about Lance Reddick. This is going to depress me. Lance Reddick, a prolific actor who played Charon in all 4 John Wick films and was a series regular on The Wire, Fringe, and Bosch, among dozens of other roles spanning a quarter century, died today. He was 60. His representative of Portrait PR confirmed the news, saying he died of natural causes but not providing other details. The actor had been doing interviews for the upcoming John Wick Chapter 4, starring Keanu Reeves, just this week. He also was set to appear in the franchise spin-off pick Ballerina. Reddick began his career in the mid-1990s guesting on such series as The Nanny and New York Undercover. Later in the decade, he appeared on the big screen in picks including Great Expectations and The Siege, before recurring on HBO's Emmy-winning 2000 miniseries The Corner, which was based on David Simon's book. That same year, he joined the cast of another gritty HBO drama, Oz, appearing in a dozen episodes. Around that time, Reddick also did an arc on Law & Order SVU. But perhaps his most famous role would come next. Reddick was cast as Cedric Daniels in The Wire, another HBO drama that Simon penned and also created. While not a breakout hit at the time, the series has become among the most acclaimed and influential of the 21st century. Appearing in all 60 episodes, Reddick's character is a rising force in Baltimore Police Department and is promoted from lieutenant to major to commissioner during its 5-season run. During his Wire run, Reddick also did arcs on crime genres Law & Order and CSI Miami and guested on Law & Order Criminal Intent. He also recurred on Lost and appeared in episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia and Numbers before landing another role for which he'd be well known. Reddick was cast in the first season of Fox's Fringe as Philip Royals, a Homeland Security special agent who ran the Fringe division that investigated unexplained phenomena and terrorism. Okay, I apologize. It's been a while since I've seen the show. It wasn't FBI, it was Homeland Security. He appeared in most of the 100 episodes.
Whatever, it's still state police. Yeah, you know, it's still the government. You know,
we may have to create another state police department to take care of the other state police departments. I'm just saying. Okay, I'll stop talking. Yeah, anyway, by J.J. Abrams, Robert Orkey, and Alex Kurtzman, which aired from 2008 to 2013. Lots more guest TV spots followed for Reddick after Fringe wrapped, including The Blacklist, Wilfred, and an arc on intelligence. Then John Wick came calling. Reddick
The Blacklist? Is that racist? Sorry.
Anyway, Reddick co-starred in the 2014 film that launched the action franchise as Sharon, the concierge at New York's Continental Hotel, who often works with Keanu's titular character. He appeared in all the Wick films, including Chapter 4, which opens wide on March 24th. He also voiced Sharon character in the 2019 video game John Wick Hex. In fact, Reddick was also a prolific voice actor in animated series. His credits include Rick and Morty, Castlevania, Paradise PD, Farzar, Legend of Vox Machina, and DuckTales. In video games, he was Martin Hatch in Quantum Break, Commander Zavala in Destiny series, and also featured in Horizon Zero Dawn, Horizon Forbidden West, among other credits. Of course, he went on to do other things like American Horror Story and Carrier and Bosch, the big show on MTV Prime Video. So, I'm sorry he's gone. It's a pity.
Yeah.
He said he was reprising his role of Sharon for Ballerina, the John Wick spin-off film starring Ana de Armas, and also had several roles in upcoming films and V-series, including 20th Century Studios' White Man Can't Jump remake, The K Mutiny Court Martial, and the John Rudy Helm Shirley. So, again, he had a prolific career. I'm sad to see him go. Kind of excited that Ana de Armas is going to be in a John Wick spinoff, though. That's kind of cool. But,
yeah.
Any thoughts?
No, I mean, I honestly, most of the stuff that you mentioned is stuff that's outside of my wheelhouse. Hadn't seen. Like I said, I know him from Fringe, and that's about it. And I liked his work on that show. You know, as other channels have been talking about it and saying, "Oh yeah, that's too bad." One channel I was listening to, Kat. The hijabi gamer was saying, yeah, I liked his work, but gosh, I made the mistake of following him on social media. He's right up there with George Takei. I'm like, oh God, you know, and that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. It's like, you know, just do your job and maybe not, you know, try to purposely, you know, offend and drive away half your audience. Just saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and I just gotta say, you know, 60, and you tell me that's natural causes? No, natural causes is when you don't know what caused their death, but it's like old age. It's like they're just so old they couldn't go on anymore. Yeah. You know, something gave out. That doesn't happen to a 60-year-old. He
was giving interviews that week for the new John Wick movie.
Yeah. You know, I mean, if it was heart disease or if it was, you know, cancer or if it was something, you know what it was. Just say what it was.
Oh, I hope not. Because a lot of people are going to be in trouble.
Well.
Anyway. Let's
type about that on social media, too.
Anyways. But sad to see Lance Reddick go, you know, I mean. I don't know. He did some good roles.
He absolutely did. He was a good actor. He had you know what? And you mentioned a list of his voice acting work. I only knew about 10-20% of those references you made, but he did have a good voice. He really did.
Yeah, he had one of those recognizable voices. It's funny. What I'll always remember him best for, though, was I think in that last John Wick movie, John Wick 3, and there's just this funny scene where John Wick's new dog, because at the end of the first movie, he just picks up a stray.
Yeah.
And he adopted a stray. So there's a scene in John Wick 3 where I guess John Wick's new dog gets let out of a car and it's pouring rain, and he goes up to the door of the hotel, and Lance Reddick answers to the concierge, says, "Oh, would you like a room, sir?" Like, he lets the dog in because the dog is still treated as a guest because it's John Wick's dog, and I thought that was funny. And it's a funny little scene.
Well, wouldn't you if you knew anything about Wick? I know I haven't seen one of the movies yet, but I know enough to know you better be nice to John Wick's dog.
I need to catch up on
That's somebody who shouldn't own a dog. They keep getting killed.
No, it's just the one. But didn't his wife get killed too? So,
all right, you want to know the basic premise? Spoilers. Tune out for a minute. Here's what happens.
Well, it's really just the first one you're covering.
You have this character named John Wick. His wife dies of cancer. He dearly loved his wife.
Oh, okay.
He gets a delivery after his wife dies. It's a puppy. And, the idea behind the puppy was his wife was leaving him something to care for after she died.
That's sweet.
Yeah, and of course, then you have some disgusting gangster say, "Hey, nice car, you want to sell it?" He says, "No, that's okay," and he takes his car off run. So then they show up at his house, and they beat him up, and they steal his car, but then the dog's barking, so you hear the dog barking, and then it gets snuffed out because they kill his dog. And that's what makes John Wick snap. And of course, what these gangsters don't realize is that John Wick was a world-renowned assassin that had retired.
Yeah. he had a certain set of skills.
Yeah, no, like he was a bad man, but I think he met his wife and gave up the life for her. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And he was furious because the dog was the only thing he had left of her, and they snuffed it out. And of course, at the end of the movie, I don't want to spoil, after maybe getting his revenge or getting the thing, he finds a stray dog, and then, I'm just going to take this dog.
Yeah.
He'll be the new dog, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's nice because,
I do feel like I want to see this movie. It definitely is on my list.
They're all good, and I like the first one very good, but all three are good that I've seen so far. We'll see if they keep it up with part
all right,
4.
so I'll get to see these movies, and I'll still get to see some of this Lance Reddick guy. So there we go.
You'll see more of him, yeah. But so John Wick goes through dogs like Batman goes through Robins. Oh, well, the second dog hasn't been killed yet, as far as I know.
Well, we haven't seen the fourth movie yet, so give it time. I think that would be. I think. Because enough people talk about that dog, it's like, I guess there's an assumption if you haven't seen the movies that a dog dies in every movie, and that's clearly not the case.
John Wick is my hero.
Right? Oh man, someone goes after your Doge, you make them dead. That's all. That's just all there is to it. That dog was worth more than you were, dude.
Theon Greyjoy had to mess with a retired Neo. The Alfie Allen plays the gangster that he goes after.
Oh gosh! Wow.
And what's funny is in the second movie, Lawrence Fishburne shows up as a character, and it's funny seeing him interacting with,
Neo
again, because and you can tell it's almost like, I don't want to say it's like a callback to the Matrix, but because it's not. It's funny. It's not a cyberpunk movie. It's an action movie, but it has cyberpunk aesthetics to it.
Sure.
And so
yeah.
They're cool. So John, okay, but no. Anyway, highly recommended. Yes. They're good movies. They're all three have been good so far. So hopefully they keep it up with part 4. But we will miss you, Lance Reddick, and like I said, he'll be remembered for his parts. And watch Fringe if you haven't seen it. It's an excellent science fiction series that actually J.J. Abrams was involved with. So shocker.
Yeah, this is the only example that I can come up with and say not only was it good, it stayed good throughout, and it came to a reasonable conclusion. You can't even say that about Lost, because that kind of that kind of went the way of Game of Thrones by the end.
It had a weird final season. I did. I loved Fringe. My only thing I didn't like about it was that the final season was only 13 episodes, and the idea was, you're lucky you got 13 more episodes.
Yeah.
They were planning to cancel it, but they did renew it for 13 more to wrap it up. But we didn't get some of those filler episodes, because I would have liked to have seen more episodes in that dark future, that horrible future.
Yeah, well, unfortunately now we're living it, so. But
great show throughout. Leonard Nimoy, you get to see Leonard Nimoy on that show too.
That's right. It's
funny. He starts out as a good guy, and then because there's a shift in time, he becomes a villain in one season. Remember that?
Yep. And in fact, a lot of them got that opportunity because of their
play different roles.
Alternate universe, you could play the same character differently. So yeah,
the alternate Earth. Yeah. What I thought was interesting about the villains on the show, like you're wondering who these secret villains are. I mean, they're the villains on our Earth, but then there's villains, and we're wondering, are these extraterrestrials? Who are they? And it turns out there really are doubles on another parallel Earth.
Yeah,
that's a major spoiler, and they actually have reason to be coming after us and waging war on our planet because we screwed something up on their planet. So right. You sort of see their point of view, but it all works out, so that's good. Disney's. Okay, so this is the next article. Want me to go and post it since
I got it.
Okay, Disney's Rock, ESPN, and Hard Place Hulu. This is referencing another article which was yelling at me for even cutting and pasting.
Yeah.
So you can find that article on your own. It's mentioned in this column. They cover similar material. This is another author's commentary, and let me give this author the credit that's due to him. Give me a second. What's his name? I never have the names on here. M.G. Siegler. Okay, so that's on his blog or website, published in 500-ish. Okay, so we'll give him the credit.
Yeah.
So let me go ahead and post this. Iger is...
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Iger is stuck. Good overall framing by Ann Nicolau and Christopher Grimes at the Financial Times regarding the situation Bob Iger now finds himself in, stuck between the proverbial rock, ESPN, and the hard place, Hulu. In some ways, of course, it should be a good problem to have, controlling two massively popular entertainment entities, but it's decidedly not a good problem to have in an era of austerity. And so it falls to Iger as something that needs a solution and resolution going forward. So let's think through some ideas. Hulu is most pressing since, as noted in the piece, there's a January 2024 date where Disney can acquire the whole thing from Comcast, or Comcast can force them to. And there's a previously agreed upon minimum value at $27.5 billion. But the world is much different than what I thought that agreement was negotiated. In many ways, Hulu is actually doing better, but the entire space and world is now in chaos. And of course, that includes Disney itself, where Bob Iger thought he was out before the board pulled him back in to deal with things like the situation.
Well, that is not an accurate representation of what happened. Bob Iger stepped away, let someone else take the blame for the things he screwed up, but he never actually let go of the reins. It's literally the opposite of what is said here.
No, but isn't that the narrative?
Yeah.
I'm just saying that I think that's publicly what all the news outlets were saying on it. You and I know probably what was going on, especially when we read between the lines and the fact that Chapek was getting stymied at every chance he had. Not that I'm a big fan of his, but... And then there's ESPN. As the reporting and years of reporting makes clear, Iger is a huge fan of the entity. He's clearly a sports guy, as he tried, though failed, to be a key player in bringing the NFL back to Los Angeles. If ESPN is still the crown jewel of Disney Empire, it's one that has lost some of its dazzle in recent years, with cable TV collapsing on top of it, which should surprise absolutely no one.
Yep.
Fees continue to go up as the audience continues to go down, which makes for an awkward situation, one that the sports leagues themselves are likely to feel the pain of first, thanks largely to the implosion of the regional sports network infrastructure, which, yes, Disney accelerated because of the Fox asset spinoff.
Mm-hmm.
So Disney contributed to the demise of the cable channel ESPN. Is this what this gentleman is saying, by having the ESPN
Well, I have my own opinions about how Disney contributed. I mean, across the board, whether you're talking about Marvel or Star Wars or ESPN, get woke, go broke. I mean, so many people have said, I'm tired of trying to watch a ball game and getting a political lecture, you know?
Yeah, it was getting pretty bad on ESPN from what I'd heard, right? That was
and so when you're talking about all those things that are said there are true, but there's other reasons that people are leaving, and you don't have to acknowledge it. It's just true.
It's money is what people don't have as much of it as they used to.
True.
And the first thing that's going to go,
and they're not going to pay for things that aren't bringing them the enjoyment that they used to, and they're certainly not going to pay to be ridiculed and lectured.
And they're not going to pay more money for those things, which
right.
is what was going on. So let's see. This gentleman says the way to square the circle might be to revisit an idea I wrote about back in 2015, well before Hulu was offering live sports, let alone touting it as the main selling point in their advertising campaign. You're welcome, Disney. 8 years ago, this was actually far less straightforward, as Disney was just one equal partner in Hulu, but the aforementioned Fox acquisition made them the main partner. The RSNs were going to be a headache for this. The problem has now just about inverted, though dealing a few major RSNs like the one owned by the Yankees will remain an issue. And now Hulu has a full over-the-top streaming cable service in the form of Hulu Plus Live TV. There may be a way to thread this needle. What the heck? Wait a minute. Oh. Sorry, They have a cable channel for Hulu?
I guess.
This is like how Paramount had a cable channel that wasn't Showtime.
Yeah.
This does,
and it further divides their subscriber base.
All of the streaming cable replacement services are now more or less the same and looking a lot more like traditional cable and price on down these days. So a focus on sports for Hulu service could remain a smart selling point, and they should double down on it. They should create a new UI that aggregates all the games you want to watch in a smart way, something which we're all increasingly longing for in an era of increasing content fragmentation. This is a natural place for ads, which Disney must appreciate. And they can upsell the other services that offer some sports, such as Amazon for some of their NFL games and Apple TV Plus for Major League Baseball and Major League Soccer games. Again, in the past, this would have been seemed impossible, but now it's a standard business practice. In fact, the one wrinkle in this may be YouTube TV, which not only competes with Hulu Plus Live TV, but just nabbed the NFL Sunday Ticket. It's hard to see how YouTube lets Hulu port that content through Hulu, as it's less an upsell and actually directly competitive with Hulu's offering. So that's a problem that one suggests that if Disney was actually going to do the sports thing aggregator offering, they should have acquired such rights. So instead, if I had to actually bet, I would guess Disney keeps ESPN and offloads Hulu to Comcast. Peacock is clearly not going to cut it off on its own, but if Comcast can bolster it with Hulu in some way, that probably makes some sense, and Hulu becomes Comcast's over-the-top cable solution. What this means for non-NBC Peacock content is unclear, but it somehow still worked with Disney, ABC plus ESPN owning the majority of the entity. Now we'll see.
Yeah, so what this really comes down to is, it's really gilding the lily, but the reality is, and we've talked about this before, Iger went on a spending spree during his initial tenure, and he bought up all kinds of crap, didn't do anything to develop any of them, in fact, destroyed them, and now he's left holding a bunch of empty sacks, and he's looking at trying to sell them off. And when I say didn't do anything with them, we talked about this. There was Hulu, there's Disney Plus, there's ESPN, and instead of packaging them together or making them into one thing and putting them on different platforms, no, instead he does nothing with Hulu, and he's got all this back catalog that shows up nowhere, and who's running things here? Seriously, that would be like, I'm going to buy an industrial dump truck and park it in my backyard. and do nothing with it and wonder why it doesn't make me any money. Because no one can hire you to come take loads away. I don't know. It is totally mismanaged. This guy's got a book out talking about being a millionaire and leadership, but I don't see his bona fides here. Seriously.
I have a question for you, though. If Hulu goes back to Comcast, what is then on Hulu?
Is there any
Here's what
Hulu original content?
There's Hulu original content. Hulu is basically a lot of 20th Century Fox stuff, like 20th Century Fox movies, FX, that channel, the cable channel FX. A lot of their content shows up on Hulu. The traditional Fox network, the Simpsons network, that's supposed to be Hulu,
right?
But does Disney own all that content? So if they offload Hulu, do they still get that content with it, or does Disney
maybe not? But here's what needs to happen with these streaming services, right? They either need to be a premium exclusive content. Okay, Disney Plus, for example. You want Disney products, you only get it on Disney Plus. Or it needs to be a generalized Hulu or Hulu the way it used to be, and or Netflix the way it used to be, where maybe they have some original content, but by and large, they are licensing other people's content. Companies like Sony, for example, that doesn't have their own streaming service, Yeah. And if Hulu is sold off, then maybe if you don't want to put your Disney, if Disney doesn't want to put their 20th Century Fox material on Disney Plus, then license it out to whoever has Hulu. But get it out there, making money. Otherwise, it's just sitting in your backyard collecting dirt.
So the Fox titles will probably be licensed to Hulu, like that Alien series they keep threatening us with. I'm sorry, I'm being funny. And the I guess like Fargo and other things that were on FX. I don't know.
Yeah, and the other upside too is, depending on how you write your contracts, you license out, Alien or whatever groups of movies or whatever to Hulu, and if you decide, I don't think you're getting the return on this that you should. I don't think it's in rotation as much as it should be, or whatever. Maybe I'll just license that to Netflix instead. We need to get back to that licensing thing. Between the cutting out of the licensing and trying to do everything on your own, trying to cut out the theaters, trying to and not doing physical media anymore. There is so much money being left on the table, and that's why these companies are friggin' going broke.
Let's see. Maybe people gave up on several years of waiting for good Star Wars, Marvel, and fantasy entertainment that never came. Why get all your hopes up needing to back? Some time to recall the good stuff. Well, I'm not sure what you refer to by fantasy. Are you referring to Willow?
Yeah.
That's a segue to our next article.
It absolutely is, and I just dropped it. There we go.
I feel like Marvel dropped off recently. I think even up to Endgame it was going strong.
Yeah.
And then afterwards it started falling off. I mean, to be fair, people liked the last Spider-Man movie as well, the No Way Home.
And you can totally see there's two factors, right? It's putting the messaging in front of the storytelling and not having the talent to tell stories with, because they've been doing the diversity hire.
Yeah. Auto Dread says, I don't want Hulu or Hulu accessories. All I want is the ability to watch King of the Hill sans Disney streaming services. Well, I can't help you with that, but Beavis and Butthead is on Paramount Plus.
Okay.
Where you can also watch other shows that are not as good, like a remake of The Stand that had Amber Heard and Ezra Miller in it. But let's talk about Willow will not return for season 2 at Disney Plus.
And I want to say, going into this one, there is a lot of people out there talking about another news article where the showrunner is saying, it might come back, blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. That is someone trying to cover their ass and equivocate and double talk. It's like, the show hasn't been canceled. It's on hiatus. It ain't getting made, so it's been canceled.
I almost sent you that article when I saw it. The showrunner says, there's going to be another series, and it's going to be even darker. And you know what? I recall Peter Falk's mob character from the movie Made when he tells Vince Vaughn, he says, "Goodbye." Goodbye.
Yeah.
Vince Vaughn keeps interjecting, but goodbye. And just keeps saying goodbye. That's what I want to say.
I said good day, sir.
No, he's goodbye. Yeah. Just stop talking.
I know.
There will never be another Willow anything. It's done. You guys murdered it.
Yeah. What if it wasn't a certainty, saying and it'll be even darker? Yeah, that's a way to make sure that nobody comes back for it.
They have no clue. No clue. The Willow TV series is done after just one season at Disney Plus, Variety has confirmed.
Shocking absolutely no one.
The news comes around 2 months after the high fantasy series aired its 8th and final episode, with the show having debuted in November 2022 and aired until January 2023. Willow continued the story of the film of the same name, with Warwick Davis returning to the series in the role of Willow Ufgood. The show was originally reported as being in the works at Disney Plus back in 2019 and ordered to series in late 2020. Along with Davis, the cast of the show included Ruby Cruz, Aaron Kellyman, Ellie Bamber, Tony Revolori, Amar Chade Patel, Dempsey Brick, and Joanne Wally. The official log line for the series states, "It's a magical world where brownies, sorcerers, trolls, and other mystical creatures flourish. The adventure continues as an unlikely group of heroes set off on a dangerous quest to places far beyond their home, where they must face their inner demons and come together to save the world." That sounds like a great series. I don't think that's what we got.
Yeah. What we actually got was the story of Will Not No Good, who is a loser, non-hero who has retreated into himself, just like Jake Skywalker.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't see it. I've watched some scenes from it. They were placing like modern rock music in the scenes, which threw me off.
What? You mean they didn't do that in the original Willow?
Here's the thing about the original Willow. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun summer blockbuster. I learned later on it was not the hit that I thought it was when I went to see it. I knew the toy line was a bit of a disaster from what I had heard. You may be.
There was nobody clamoring for a sequel on Willow. There just wasn't. I mean, there might be a small group of, very, very dedicated cultish fans, but by and large, there was no audience for this.
So when you're handed the reins to Willow, a thing which may not have a strong audience, you have to build that audience. You can't expect that audience to already be there. It's kind of like with Andor, where the showrunner of that show was saying we had to chase the audience, because I guess Star Wars has fallen off in recent years. Well, Willow fell off a long time ago, and you needed to chase about 50 times faster to chase the Willow office. You had to make this thing excellent. This had to be excellent Lucasfilm quality, like we used to get back in the 80s, and that didn't happen here, from what I can tell. Didn't. So it's not coming back. I don't think there'll ever be anything with the Willow name attached to it ever again. I think it's done, and time to move on. There, R.I.P., rest in peace, gone, done, gone. Yeah. Blew it. I don't know what else to say.
No, absolutely true. And Rosefire makes a great point. A show doesn't have to be woke to bomb. Yeah, because it's not even the wokeness that causes these things to bomb. It is a lack of understanding of the material and a lack of understanding of basic storytelling, right? The destruction of the New Tomorrow people, a bunch of dumb, horny kids with superpowers who make bad choices. Yeah.
It's the CW.
Was it the CW that did it? I remember the original Tomorrow People. That was wasn't that ITV? It was a British show.
Maybe it was a British show. Come on.
I don't know who did the remake, but yeah, I'm kind of glad I missed out on that because
Guys, we just understand the brilliance of Rian Johnson deconstructing Luke Skywalker. We may never understand it. Yeah, I know. It's beyond us. Okay, Sorality is here. Good morning.
Good morning, afternoon, or
ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Welcome.
And Matanui, always good to see you too, my friend.
Matanui, it just has to be shit. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but let's move on. Universal, huh? Here we go. More Disney talk. Right?
Wait a minute. This is one of those ones where the link is too long to add to the title.
It's comicbookmovie.com.
Because these guys don't know how to do links. There we go.
You may have, yeah, okay, come on. All right. So Universal could be considering selling the film rights to the Hulk, and is it Namor or Namor?
Well, if they're selling the rights, it's Namor, right? It's the original character.
No,
so in other words, now that those characters are completely devalued and there's no use to them, hey Disney, you interested in buying these? No, we've already got Namor, and Hulk is now wussified, and we've moved on to She-Hulk now.
Hey, I have a question. Could you theoretically have a Namor versus Namor film? You know, it could be like a war between the two.
With their multiverse crap, they could do just about anything. They could make Namorita, be the bestest ever, and take over the mantle.
Namorita will set them straight. We'll set Namor and Namor straight. Namorita will set them straight.
And Namorita definitely can't be a little blonde girl. She's going to have to be, I don't know, a transgendered. I don't know, African American, Asian, blue person. I don't know, something.
Well, they were blue people in the latest Black Panther movie, right? They were blue.
Yeah. I mean, and that kind of comes from the comics. But if you're going to do something like that, maybe you should actually understand the lore of the comics and try to work that into your story.
Don't give them ideas, Rosefire.
I would love to see that. As long as Hulk is the top and Namor gets split in two, I'm good with that.
Anyway, family stream.
Sorry. Well, hey, if the kids don't understand what that means, it goes right over their head. No harm, no foul.
Let me read the article. Big changes have been taking place behind the scenes at Disney ever since Bob Iger returned as CEO, with one popular theory being that the company will sell its 67% stake in Hulu. Overseas Hulu titles are added to the Disney Plus library, but the two streaming platforms remain completely separate in the U.S. because we're special over here. Having two of these two services to contend with to becoming something of a financial burden, selling 67% could be highly beneficial for the company. Okay, what is this? Okay, we're moving. Okay, we just talked about this, but let's move on. Things get complicated here as the Reps report begins getting into the financial complications such a deal would involve. However, if Disney decided against buying out Comcast's 33% stake, then that company might choose to acquire the entire service. As part of any package, the House of Mouse stands a chance to finally regain two key Marvel franchises. City analyst Jason Bazinet explains, while Disney owns all Marvel IP, Universal has distribution rights to Hulk and Namor. As such, if Disney makes a Hulk or Namor film, Comcast can distribute the film on Peacock. If Hulu is sold, Disney may use this as an opportunity to secure these distribution rights. I have a question. Back in the 70s or whenever, someone sold the rights to the Incredible Hulk and Namor to Universal?
Sort of. This is all very, very complicated.
You don't have to go into it if it's going to take
I won't go into too much detail, but Namor was a character who was an Avenger, by the way, but he was a frequent, and I think the best analogy that would make it easy for most of the audience to understand, think about Kingpin. Okay, Kingpin was a Spider-Man villain. He was a Daredevil villain. He was, actually all of those Netflix characters, that were Marvel characters. He was a villain in those, but, Spider-Man was owned, the distribution rights for that was owned by Sony, and Daredevil was over with Netflix, and so on and so forth. So it gets real fuzzy where a lot of this stuff goes. That's also why Morbius is over by Sony, because he's kind of sort of in there with the Spider-Man and all that kind of stuff, Venom and whatnot. Well, Namor is like that. Namor is he's actually a villain character. He started out as a villain character. He's a villain character at odds with Hulk, and he was a villain character at odds with the Fantastic Four. Fantastic Four is also in there. So
probably at the time he was sold as a villain character in the Hulk universe. Okay. But then maybe in the comics later on, he became an Avenger or Defender and other things. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Because he was in the Defenders. I know that in the Defenders it was Namor, Doctor Strange, and the Incredible Hulk, right? Were they the three Defenders at one point?
Who did you... Namor, Banner, and... I'm not sure if Banner was or not. Doctor Strange was definitely one. Mr. Fantastic was another one. Actually, all those people that got killed in Multiverse of Madness, those were the Defenders. Professor X was one, too.
I won't watch that movie. I can't see Professor X die again.
Right?
Guys, stop doing that. It's like they keep killing Patrick Stewart's Professor X in humiliating ways. It's just, I'm done.
They killed Professor X! You bastards!
That's time number 3. You realize that?
Yes! I do.
It happened in Logan, spoiler, and it happened in X-Men 3.
Yeah, but he stole someone else's body, so it's okay.
They never followed up on that at all.
Which is probably for the best. Just probably for the best.
And then him and Magneto see Wolverine at the end of that one. Wolverine movie says, "Oh, things have you're back. How is that possible?" Did
you see the meme that was going around of Patrick Stewart and Famke Janssen from the episode of the Next Generation, where she was the empath, and
was she supposed to be like the ultimate mate for whatever man got
exactly her? But she bonded with Picard instead of her mate, and she says what it was like Professor X or no he's I don't remember. They made an allusion to the fact that they had that pseudo romantic relationship in that one episode of Next Gen, and then they were paired up together again in the X-Men with two characters that had a weird, kind of creepy relationship.
That's funny. I'll look for that now. I'm
interested.
What was interesting about that episode of The Empath is that the Ferengi wanted her first, and I kept thinking, were they trying to sell her, or did one of them want to mate with her so she would become like a top financier and help them run their business or something? I didn't know what was
Wow, I never even thought about that. That's
she
genius.
Would become the ultimate acquisition, like she would make the Ferengi money or something. I don't know.
That is genius. Yeah.
Of course, Namor is a villain. He went after Reed's wife, and refuses to wear anything else than scaly green briefs. That's a hate crime in my eyes.
Well, dude, when you live underwater, I mean, you're not going to be wearing a lot of wool. I'm just saying.
Anyway, let's get back to the article, okay?
Okay.
Well, Marvel Studios is able to include the Hulk and Namor in movies. They've been restricted from releasing solo outings due to Universal holding those rights. This would ultimately be a very small part of any deal, but outside of combining Disney Plus and Hulu, a potential sale, the streamer is valued between $19.8 billion and $27.5 billion, has the potential to add as much as $13 stock prices. That may not seem like a big deal, but for investors, it sure would be. Iger, for example, is thought to own 500,000 Disney shares. A sale that adds $13 each of those puts roughly an extra $6.5 million in his pocket. Do you think we'll eventually see Solo, Hulk, and Namor movies? If I was Disney and I was planning to eventually reboot the Marvel universe after
that's about the only way they could do this. Yeah.
It makes sense to maybe even do a Solo Hulk movie and maybe even do a Solo Namor movie. The Submariner. I could. So,
and do them right this time, maybe?
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. I actually like the Edward Norton Incredible Hulk movie that came out.
I do too. One? Yeah.
And it had that Universal made that. That was in conjunction with Marvel Studios. So you had Tony Stark guest star at the end of the movie.
Right.
Meeting General Ross in the bar. And what I liked about the older Hulk movies was when he became the Hulk, Lou Ferrigno did the voice. Did you know that?
Yes, he did.
Hulk, when he was the Hulk. They stopped that when it went over to Avengers movies. They had Mark Ruffalo do the voice of the Hulk as well, which I didn't think was as cool. But okay.
It does kind of make sense, though. I mean, the person who is Banner, there should be some... And that's also why
I like the call back to Lou Ferrigno. Come on, it was cool.
I agree with you, but I also see you can see it in the face. The Hulk face is very clearly, an altered version of Ruffalo's face. But
he could still play.
Look, they have so devalued these. Yeah, it's probably good to get it all under one umbrella again. But I don't see it ever paying off for them again. Whatever they're going to spend on it, they're not going to see a return on investment.
Well, perhaps then someday Disney will start selling off the Marvel characters. Hey, Universal, you want Captain America? Hey, Paramount, you want Iron Man?
I mean, that does, that's kind of like if you have an old classic car with a couple of reproduction parts. Maybe before you sell it, you replace those replacement parts with originals. That might be the way to go. So that you can say, yeah, we got everything here for you. It's a package deal. You don't have to worry about, split, value and stuff like that. I don't know, man. I think that this is what got Disney in the mess that they're in the first place. The spending money like a drunken sailor on, no offense to, drunken sailors, but, spending all this money on acquisitions that and then subsequently devaluing them. So,
Do you think we'll eventually see Solo, Hulk, or Namor movies? Here's what I'm going to say about that last question article. I'm going to say I will see any movie with any superhero if it's good.
Yeah.
Okay? That's all I ask for.
But specifically to that question, I would say probably not in my lifetime.
It's funny because I was watching that Super Sons movie that we're going to discuss
on
Tuesday. Not to spoil that for the stream then, but I went into it very negative, and I was actually surprised by it.
That was the one. That's the Starro one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It had its moments. And,
yeah.
And I think maybe some of those creative teams should be making those live action movies.
I agree.
Going forward, I mean, if they put it made Damian Wayne kind of likable, which I didn't think was possible.
Right? That's a great point. Yeah.
A disturbance in the Force review. Oh no. Oh, okay. This is the holiday special.
Yes. So this one comes to us. I'm sharing the Variety article, but it was brought to my attention by Big Al of Big Al Presents. He shared this little 1 minute, promo type video, and you know how it is now, right? You don't know if you're seeing a fan film or some sort of a joke or something, or if this is real. And I even said to him, like, is this real? And he goes, I think it is. And then he and I both did some research. I'm like, holy cow, this is real.
Yeah. So there are times when you look back at pop culture phenomena and can't resist the urge to ask, can you believe this actually happened? Tackling a notorious fiasco in one of the galaxy's most popular franchises, Jeremy Kuhn and Steve Kozak's amusing and exhaustive documentary, A Disturbance in the Force, unpacks the 1978's Star Wars Holiday Special. You don't have to be an obsessive Star Wars fan to enjoy this behind-the-scenes look at how the special, which premiered November 17th, 1978 on CBS, and has never been rerun on any broadcast or cable outlet, came to exist. To be sure, the fans will appreciate it a lot more than casual viewers, but it's also an irresistible hoot for anyone with fond memories of star-studded 1970s musical variety TV specials, a specific type of highly popular general audience entertainment that, truth to tell, was very often showcased more campy excesses than anything in the Star Wars Holiday Special. For those too young and too discerning to recall such fare, Kuhn and Kozak did a first-rate job of placing the Star Wars special in context, with a generous array of clips representing everything from a Donnie and Marie segment featuring the Osmond duo as Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia, Chris Christopherson as Han Solo, and dancing stormtroopers singing a variation of the top 40 single Get Ready, to a Bob Hope All-Star Christmas Holiday Special sketch in which Hope played Darth Vader opposite the real Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill. I need to find that Bob Hope clip now. But I've seen clips from that Donnie and Marie special. It's actually pretty good. And I was like, Chris Christopherson could have totally played Han Solo, I think, looking at that special. As one interviewee notes, though, there were astounding worse shows that aired at that time. even though none of the shows had Wookiees communicating in unsubtitled grunts and snarls. You can view those as subtitles, grunts and snarls. In addition to that movie, you have access to, right?
I have access to anything I want.
Yeah, but someone did a fan edit of the movie and they actually subtitled the Wookiee segment.
Yes,
so
yes, and those who follow my channel know that every year I do at least one rewatch of the holiday special, and I give away copies of the original Huio, which is the best, most cleaned up version of as it was originally broadcast, and a couple of different fan edit versions of it, which are actually better than the original, much more watchable.
Yeah. So the article goes on to say, at a time when such specials were commonplace, almost all of them aimed at viewers older than the newly minted Star Wars aficionados. The prospect of a 2-hour TV extravaganza with seasoned vets like Art Carney, B. Arthur, and Harvey Korman interacting with Star Wars stars Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, and a bunch of Wookiees may have seemed perfectly sane, maybe even surefire, but things didn't work out as planned. Using an abundance of newly filmed talking heads interviews with the parties involved and acres of archival footage, including participants who clearly didn't want to discuss the special, the documentary traces everything back to George Lucas's desire for something that would sustain the high visibility of his budding franchise between the release of Star Wars and the completion of The Empire Strikes Back. Yet as hard as it might be to fathom decades later, there were some worry, and not just Lucas' part, that the public might forget the first film before the sequel appeared. Another consideration, there were toys and other merchandise to promote for the Christmas 1978 gift-giving season. Fortunately, I'm providing an outline for the plot involving how Chewbacca and his family might celebrate something called Life Day. Lucas more or less walked away from the project to begin pre-production on The Empire Strikes Back. Even more unfortunately, as the documentary makes abundantly clear, the majority of the people left in charge, including writer Bruce Villange, costumer Bob Mackey, and producers Ken and Mitzi Welsh, had more experience producing traditional variety shows than the protecting Nessie and sci-fi franchises. All of which explains why many viewers, especially those who tuned in expecting to see some sort of Star Wars sequel, responded with slack-jawed amazement to such highlights as a fantasy sequence where Chewbacca's aged dad takes unseemingly delight when watching a slinky singing and dancing Diana Carroll, and a cooking tips video with four-armed, heavily made-up Harvey Korman in drag, and B. Arthur serving as barkeep of the Mos Eisley Cantina while fending off an amorous customer, Korman again, and ultimately singing a good night but not goodbye tune at closing time. And
my gosh. I know. And I just gotta say, to those of you that even know that whole Diane Carroll reference there, that device that he's viewing it in is called the Mind Evaporator. And I have to believe, after seeing the last episode of The Mandalorian, that it is the same technology that that guy was hooked up to in the last episode of The Mandalorian. There's got to be a connection between those two pieces of technology. Yeah, so now it's canon, yeah. The Mind Evaporator is just an early version of the Mind Flayer. Just saying.
Well, there you go. What was I going to say to you, though?
Well, and when you started this article, tackling a notorious fiasco in one of the galaxy's most popular franchises, I thought we were going to start talking about the sequel trilogy.
Yeah, funny.
That's really the most notorious fiasco, but okay, I get where they're
made more sense. There was actually a pretty good cartoon segment in this special, right?
Absolutely, which actually has seen release on DVD. So
why didn't they just make a Star Wars animated special the way they do like the Peanuts animated special?
Because they then went because after the holiday special, they then went into the Droids and Ewoks series on Saturday mornings, which were also really, really bad.
But you could have just had like here's a standalone adventure with Luke Skywalker, trying to do this, and you could have done one of those a year or maybe even a couple a year, and that would keep the kids interested in Star Wars.
If they were really smart, what they would have done was they would have worked together with Marvel Comics and done what they did in the 60s with the old Avengers comics, turned the
Star Wars comics into those
comics into like motion comics cartoons on TV. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Adrian, I'd agree with you. And on the watch superhero film where heroes are heroes and villains are villains, no more subverting expectations.
Yeah.
There was not to get off track, but I remember the season premiere of Doctor Who, the Peter Capaldi second season, where him and Davros are having a conversation, and it's almost like Davros, oh, maybe the Doctor isn't so good, and maybe Davros isn't so bad, and and they're playing with the audience, right?
Yeah.
I meant the Daleks for peace. And then, it's almost like him and Davros are having a heart-to-heart by the end, and blah, blah. And then it turns out, no, Davros had a plan to suck the Doctor's life energy to give himself full power again and bring the Daleks and destroy the universe. But the Doctor knew he had this up his sleeve and then turns it back on him. And I thought that was funny because it basically took that
subverts the idea of subverting your expectations.
It subverted the idea of subverting expectations. I thought that was very, very clear. And I was actually very happy because I was getting angry during the episode when I was watching it.
Yeah.
Then, okay, they fooled me. Funny. Okay, everything's back to normal. Davros is the monster we know him to be.
You do that Robert De Niro meme. You're good.
Are you gonna watch this documentary?
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah,
this might be something to do a review on your channel, maybe after you see it.
Yeah, if I can figure out how I get a hold of it, I definitely will. But I got to. Yeah.
They got to put it on someplace, right?
Well, it's still pretty new. It just came out at some.
They're not going to put it on Disney Plus. I can tell you that much.
Well, yeah. I bet just like the holiday special, it'll be available somewhere at some point, and I will get my hands on it.
Speaking of documentaries.
Yeah. William Shatner, who's still going strong at 90, folks. Just saying.
I've turned down a lot of offers to do documentaries before, but I don't have long to live. Don't say that, Bill. Actually, William Shatner, 91, has opened up about his age and health, affection, and his decision to make You Can Call Me Bill, a documentary about his life.
Shatner, in all fairness, come on, 90 years old. He seems to be in great health, but you just can't get past that number. 90 is... I know. And I think he's just being realistic. But you know what? What he's saying is realistic for anyone of any age. People need to understand, especially the younger. You are not guaranteed another day. So live every day like it's your last, because it could be you never know.
Exactly. But as Shatner, best known for Captain James T. Kirk on the science fiction television series Star Trek, has had an entertainment career spanning 7 decades. Outside of Star Trek, the Canadian actor has had quite a few memorable performances over the years, including his role as attorney Denny Crane in the final season of the legal drama The Practice, as well as its spin-off Boston Legal. Shatner won 2 Emmy Awards, one for his contribution to each series for the role of Denny Crane, and received critical acclaim for his portrayal of the quirky and charismatic character. Additionally, he has done extensive voice work on animated shows like Futurama and My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. What? Okay. Recorded several spoken word albums and penned multiple science fiction comics. Overall, Shatner's versatility as an entertainer has made him a beloved figure in Hollywood.
I'm actually surprised in all of that they didn't mention his greatest film role.
What?
The role of Mark in Incubus, the 1966 horror film, all in Esperanto.
Oh,
I am not even kidding about that, folks.
I've heard of that one. Esperanto. Do you speak Esperanto?
Not even a single word.
This would probably be more
I speak more Klingon than I do Esperanto.
This would be a joke for the oral. There should be an alien race that speaks Esperanto, and it was all scam that they made on the human race early on to get us all to speak their language. That could be the joke, right?
That would be funny.
It wasn't a made-up, because Esperanto was supposed to be an attempt to give a common language for the entire world, right? So we're going to invent this language that everyone in the world will speak. It didn't.
Yeah, when what you really should do is go, well, gee, what we've always done throughout all of history? What is the most common language of commerce? Okay? Have everyone learn that language. And there's a reason why people have learned English, Japanese, and Chinese, Mandarin.
Yeah. In February 2023, a feature-length documentary from Legion M about his life, You Can Call Me Bill, received $790,000 in funding from fans eager to see an intimate portrait of William Shatner's personal journey across 9 decades of a boldly lived and fully realized life. I've turned down a lot of offers to do documentaries before, but I don't have long to live to tell variety. An interview published on March 9th. Whether I keel over as I'm speaking to you or 10 years from now, my time is limited. So that's very much a factor. I've got grandchildren, and this documentary is a way of reaching out after I die. Shatner continued, the sad thing is that the older a person gets, the wiser they become, and then they die with all that knowledge, and it's gone. It's not like I'm going to take my ideas or my clothing with me. Today, there's a person going through some of my clothes in order to donate or sell them, because what am I going to do with all these suits that I've got? What am I going to do with all these thoughts? What am I going to do with 90 years of observations? The moths of extinction will eat my brain as they will my clothing, and it will all disappear. In the Variety interview, Shatner also reflected on missing the 2015 funeral of his Star Trek co-star and friend Leonard Nimoy because he had a prior obligation to attend a Red Cross fundraiser at Mar-a-Lago. When Leonard Nimoy died a few years ago, his funeral was on a Sunday. His death was very sudden. I had obligated myself to go to Mar-a-Lago for a Red Cross fundraiser, said the actor. I was one of the celebrities raising money. That event was on Saturday night. Shatner added, I chose to keep my promise to go to Mar-a-Lago instead of the funeral, and I said to the audience, people ask about a legacy. There's no legacy. Statues are torn down. Graveyards are ransacked. Headstones are knocked over. No one remembers anyone, but what does live on are good deeds. If you do a good deed, it reverberates to the end of time. It's the butterfly effect thing. That's why I have done this film. You Can Call Me Bill is set to premiere at South by Southwest on Thursday, March 16th.
Yeah, I mean, there is a certain amount of logic that goes into that, right?
Yep.
And, you know, that's, I didn't think that through as I said it, but it's applicable. I mean, do I go to a funeral, or do I keep an engagement that actually is going to do some good for living people? You know? Think about it.
Loaded Weapon 1 with Tim Curry as his henchman. I've not seen it. I need to see this movie now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember Loaded Weapon. Yeah.
He was in Airplane 2 as well, remember?
Right.
No, William Shatner, he's a living legend. I'm sorry. I think of Star Trek, I think William Shatner first and foremost.
I've had, as a fan, I had many years ago some bad experiences and got a negative impression of him, but over the years I've gotten a much more positive opinion of him. He is definitely, you know, we were talking about people saying stupid things on social media and making you not want to partake of their celebrity. Shatner's kind of done the opposite. The more I see of him on social media, the more I respect him. Yeah. So there you go. But, you know, I think that also brings us to our next article about William Shatner. Yeah, King Solomon during his later years in life. Exactly right.
Not to, again, tout these Batman, Superman movies, but there's a wonderful scene where maybe Superman encounters Captain Marvel in the first one of these. And Captain Marvel says, it doesn't take the wisdom of Solomon to realize you should stand down. And I'm like, no. It's like...
Well, and I gotta say, as I hear what Shatner's saying, I'm like, that's kind of the same idea behind why I do this. I'm in my 50s now, no kids, and who am I going to pass on any wisdom I have, if wisdom I have, you know?
Well, that's why you're on YouTube.
That's exactly why. That's why Geeky Geezers exists. That's why I do the last call on Friday. And it's kind of why Netter's starting to do her Thursday thing too. It's like it's an opportunity for you to pick our brains. We know some things. We've been around a while. When we share the good old days with you, and we share some of this history and things that we remember from when we grew up. These shows and films that you're seeing now, they came from somewhere, and we're trying to share that continuity with you. So, yeah. Before it's all gone.
So here's our next article.
Talk about the statues being pulled down and the graveyard being ransacked. This is exactly what he was talking about.
Star Trek fans fume as William Shatner reacts to Captain Kirk being removed from advert. William Shatner, 91, famously played Captain James T. Kirk in the hit series, as well as starring in 7 films. Star Trek fans have since hit out after the actor said he wasn't surprised to not be included in a recent promotional poster. It comes after Paramount Plus shared a graphic promoting the decades-long franchise that had included the likes of Patrick Stewart as Jean-Luc Picard and Leonard Nimoy as Spock. TrekNews.net shared the snap with the caption, "New Paramount Plus Star Trek graphic omits William Shatner's Captain Kirk." In view of his 2.5 million followers, William retweeted the graphic with the caption, "And that surprises you, laughing."
You want to share? I just brought it up.
Go right ahead. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, wait, let me get rid of the...
Yeah, get rid of me.
All right, so let's see this here. Yep, he is not here.
What they have is let's see, from left to right, they've got Scott Bakula. They got
Makes sense.
They got Spock and Uhura.
Fine.
They got one of the animated characters, Picard.
I don't care.
Mikey Spock. Alternate universe Pike. Another cartoon character. They got Janeway. They got Cisco. They got 7 of 9. They got 7 of 9, but they can't get Captain Kirk in there. Captain Kirk is Star Trek, guys.
He is the face of Star Trek, and I'm not saying these aren't also faces of Star Trek. Some I wish not to remember, but others are iconic as well as Kirk. But you don't remove Captain Kirk from your poster. And let me keep reading the article here. It goes on to say,
I'm trying to figure out what 7 of 9 is doing there. I can see a main character from each of your shows. I don't get Spock and Uhura and not Kirk. If you're going to represent that era.
7 of 9 is on the new Picard series. That could be why they threw her up there.
They got Picard there. They don't need her.
Anyway, in view of his so his Legion of fans reacted to this year disappointment. Lorraine Kelly wrote, "This is illogical." Joe Vargas tweeted, "What the hell? That's not cool. Hope it's not intentional." And I would say it very much is intentional.
Absolutely.
I think there was another poster that had him on it. "This is so upsetting. Captain Kirk is the heart of Star Trek," another user wrote. "You should be front and center right next to Leonard Nimoy." CC commented, "It does surprise me. Why would they do that? It's ridiculous." And while Marlene added, how could they miss the original captain? It's insane." Another social media user, Eric, questioned the Captain Kirk after writing oversight, and then William Shatner replied, "Doubtful." No, this is a snub. That's what this is. I'm not even going to try and pretend that this was an accident or an oversight. This is a pure snub. That's what this is. They don't like William Shatner. This goes back to, I remember years back, I don't know if it was someone on Tumblr or Twitter or something, someone made some comment about how, "Oh, if only William Shatner had died instead of Leonard Nimoy." And William Shatner took great offense at that because obviously you're wishing death. Not that the death of Leonard Nimoy wasn't tragic. Sad to see him go, and he was iconic Star Trek, but so is William Shatner.
Right.
And we love William Shatner, and it was a horribly insensitive thing to say.
Actually,
and of course, when he started going after them, they're like, "Oh, you're harassing me." It's like, come on.
David Pensack makes a great point. He says, "And isn't that Voyager 7 of 9? Yeah. It's not even the current 7 of 9. It's the one from Voyager. Well, look, you got Janeway, so you don't need another representative of Voyager. You got Picard, so you don't need another representative of Picard, right? And hell, Picard is a twofer. You cover the current Picard, and you cover Next Generation, right? But no, they purposely went out of their way. Hey, let's find another woman. Let's find another person of color. Let's find someone else. Anyone else, as long as we don't have to put Shatner in.
Scott Bakula to be kicked to the side soon. He'll be next probably.
And real quick, I'm sure that Matanui's making reference to something I said, but I'm not sure what it was. But I don't want to get rid of Troy, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Matanui.
Oh, that was from before about how we're all going to disappear.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it's inevitable. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not striving for it. I intend to live forever or die trying. But it's more likely to be the latter than the former. I mean, let's be honest, right?
Yes, that was Superman, Batman, Public Enemies. We'll be discussing that Tuesday on Match 6 channel. But what was I going on about? No, this is a pure snub. I'm sorry. I don't think there's anything left to say about that. People ask, and I know that Call Me Shadow was saying about how people are refusing to watch Star Trek Picard Season 3 because of the first 2 seasons. And Star Trek Picard Season 3 may be perfectly good. And who knows, maybe in 10 or 20 years I'll watch it. But I'm not watching it now because I don't like Paramount's handling of Star Trek.
Yeah,
the way they're giving the finger to people who grew up with Star Trek. And I'm sorry, the face of Star Trek has always been Captain Kirk. Without Captain Kirk, I don't know that I ever would have become a Star Trek fan at all.
And I understand a lot of people are holding up Terry, whatever his name is, the new showrunner, doing a great job, blah, 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 blah. Well, then maybe he better stay off of social media, because he's already started saying some heated things and blocking people. And it's like, dude, you can make the best Star Trek ever. You start doing that kind of stuff, you're no better. You are no better. And you're writing good Trek in a bad universe that people have already walked away from. Sorry.
An android.
Yeah.
Picard is still an android.
Nobody cares anymore. You need to understand that. But
I thought Q was going to fix that. They could have just had Q fix that. Oh, you're human.
Just
again.
like everyone believes that, Star Wars is going to be fixed by the world between worlds and everything else. Give it up, people. They are not going to fix these things for you. They are done. They are just done. This last episode of Mandalorian should prove to you all roads lead to the sequel trilogy. That's it. It's done.
Unfortunately, we had hope that the other could be apparent, but they keep. I think it was Gina Carano getting fired. I think that was it. That was the.
Surreality says, "What is it about standing on the shoulders of giants?" Well, these kids these days are standing on the shoulders of giants and shitting on their heads.
Yeah, but you know what? Shatner's head will just throw it right back up at him because that's Shatner. He will. I mean,
that's what I like about him. Yeah, he does that.
If you're a fan of William Shatner, check out his series, The Unexplained. It's hilarious. It's like one of these paranormal, like investigation type shows, but like he hosts it, and it's just funny hearing him saying, "Evil places are some places just born bad."
You know what though? Boomer, just to be slightly more positive, the pendulum does tend to swing. And I feel like we've been here before, we're here again, and on the other side of it, eventually, things start to go the opposite way when people realize, the get woke, go broke is happening, and all these banks are closing, and the entertainment industry's falling apart. They start going, gee, maybe we should kind of retool and go back to what was working. Like what it appears is starting to happen with Warner Brothers and Superman Legacy.
First synopsis for Superman Legacy release brings back truth, justice, and the American way motto. Interesting. Yeah. So, let's read.
Yep.
Warner Brothers just released the first official synopsis for the reboot Superman Legacy that wipes the slate clean for the Man of Steel, the new DC universe brought to us by co-CEOs James Gunn and Peter Safran of DC Studios, dealing with a younger Superman not played by Henry Cavill. Legacy summary has something that will please fans. The synopsis, as follows, brings back the tried and true motto Superman is renowned for. Superman Legacy tells the story of Superman's journey to reconcile his Kryptonian heritage with his human upbringing as Clark Kent of Smallville, Kansas. He is the embodiment of truth, justice, and the American way, guided by human kindness in a world that sees kindness as old-fashioned. Gunn, who is now attached to direct, teased what will shape Superman in a Twitter update. Then a bit less than a year ago, I saw in a way, in many ways, centering around Superman's heritage, how both his aristocratic Kryptonian parents and his Kansas farmer parents inform who he is and the choices he makes, he wrote. I think that was touched on Smallville quite a bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is not new ground. It's
like,
just,
who is he the son of? Is he Jor-El's son?
In a way, this was already covered in the original Donner Superman, too. But it has yet to be covered in the modern era. I agree with the sentiment that Matanui's putting out. I'm still waiting to see how that turns out.
I am too. I'm not.
And I encourage everyone that don't get your hopes up. We've been there before and we've been burned. I will probably not go see any of this stuff opening week. I will wait and see if the reviewers that I respect, how they come back and what they say about it before I go give it my money. But if it is good, if it is a return to truth, justice, and the American way, I'm in. I'm in on that.
Yeah. Do you all believe Gunn is giving us bait, or is it legitimate? I don't know. That's what I want to say.
See,
it's a big question mark. I don't.
Yeah, here's the big thing. I believe, and this is not the question you're answering. I know that, but he is capable of it. But we don't know what his plan is, and we don't know what he's been told he must do. However, a lot of indicators imply that Warner Brothers it understands where they went wrong. When you listen to some of the stuff that what's his name, the head of Warner Brothers,
Zaslav.
Yeah, some of the things Zaslav said about, Superman being the cornerstone and stuff like that. You see stuff in this article like Bringing Back Truth, Justice, and the American Way, how this is a character who's focused on being kind in a world that thinks that's uncool. That's all the things we've been saying as fans, right? So if it's a bait and switch, it's got to truly be an outright lie. And I don't think he's outright lying to us. I think he understands this is what it's got to be. But I'll tell you what, if that first film is a bait and switch, it's done right out of the gate. So, do I believe Gunn is giving us a bait, or is it legitimate? All I can say is it better be legitimate. That's all I can say.
Here's what I think is going on. I think Warner Brothers knows
Clark should always say swell, Surreality says. I agree with you.
Swell.
Yep.
That's a word.
Yeah, just like the whole Snyderverse was swell, but the swelling's gone down and it's time to move on.
Apparently, didn't Shazam! Fury of the Gods open this weekend?
Oh, yeah. It's not doing well.
What's the verdict, though, as a movie? Did people like it, or is it a...
It was pretty woke, and it wasn't as good as the first. It's like they just phoned it in. They knew it was over with. Let's just get it out there.
And so this leaves Aquaman and the Cursed Kingdom?
Something like that.
Is that the title of the movie?
I guess.
I got that title wrong.
I am very interested to see how that one does. Because it's either going to do really, really well, because there's still all the Aqua Bro fans out there, or it's just going to tank because of...
I thought they did Black Manta well in the Aquaman movie, and I'd like to... I know he's going to be in there again. I don't know.
But, it's got, amber feces floating in it, so do we really want that?
They're done. They're so done. So we'll see. The direct posits Gunn and Safran may borrow from the Joe Kelly story. What's so funny about Truth, Justice, and the American Way? A tale introducing the elite. Gunn could take the opportunity to bring the Authority to the big screen, a group that is coming to the DCU and a major inspiration for the elite. Superman Legacy is out in July 2025. That'd be interesting if the Authority are the enemies in the movie.
Yeah.
That could be interesting.
And that would be a great way to backtrack on the way that they've done Suicide Squad before. Yep. Before you introduce anti-heroes, introduce them as the villains so that you get to know who they are and see an arc for them, It'd
be interesting. We'll see. I don't know what Warner... I know Warner Brothers knows they need to be able to turn these into properties that people want to go see. Yeah. I want them to also keep in mind these are family features. You need to be able to take your kids to see it. Yeah. And I know, especially with that last Batman movie, which I haven't seen, but I heard it was really pushing the PG-13 into R-rated territory.
Yeah.
You need something for the whole family to go see. Marvel understood that for a while, at least until these Disney Plus series came out.
But if you do fail, you need to own up to it and not find scapegoats to blame. which brings us to our next article here.
Oh no, Patty Jenkins. And I want to make something that I don't have a personal beef with Patty Jenkins when I read this article. Wonder Woman 84 had a lot of problems with it. There were things I thought could have worked well, but then it didn't really come together as a movie. I think everybody said that. But let's go into Patty Jenkins. Okay, Patty Jenkins said she is more than disappointed that no women were nominated for Best Director this year.
And let me just say that before we get into this, in the 70s, in the 80s, the second wave feminists, their rallying cry was, "I am woman, hear me roar." Looks like the rallying cry for the third wave feminists is, "I am woman, hear me whine."
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I give up. The Wonder Woman director told the Saturday at the Charles Finch and Chanel pre-Oscars dinner at the Beverly Hills Hotel's Polo Lounge. I say that even with all of their push to have diversity, the numbers are just hugely imbalanced of who votes these things. I sort of just stopped paying attention to it. It's still going to take a long way to go. It's going to take a lot more to really see truly more diverse awards. I really appreciate the efforts that they're making, but we have a long way to go. In 2023, director nominees are Martin McDowell, The Banshees of Inisherin, Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinhardt, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Steven Spielberg, The Fabelmans, Todd Field, Tar, and Ruben Östlund, The Triangle of Sadness. Chloe Zhao, who won the Best Director trophy for helming Nomadland, has also called the Academy and voters to support gender diversity among nominees. There's clearly a very big gap for women filmmakers in our industry, Zhao told a Variety interview published on March 10th. Now, that's a different issue than who gets nominated. If she's saying, "Oh, female directors aren't being given the opportunity to make films," that's a different issue than trying to pick the best movies of the year and find the best directors of the year.
Yeah.
That's a different thing. The Eternals director said Hollywood needs to do a better job at increasing the visibility of women who are nominated for awards and funding more women-led projects.
Let's stop and look at that real quick, right? We got The Eternals, which was a crap movie by all reports I've heard. And this coming from the director and writer of Wonder Woman 84, which was also a crap movie. You don't really have a leg to stand on. You want women to be taken seriously in your field? Be that woman that can be taken seriously, and don't just stand on your uterus to get an award.
Listen, were there examples this year of female directors that should have been nominated?
I don't know. Did Lana and Lily Wachowski do any movies this year? Maybe they could have been up for a directorship. Think that through, people.
Not that I know of. That was the Matrix. One of them did the Matrix. The other one didn't even want to do that Matrix sequel. So, yeah. We're not doing it for awards
because nowadays the best woman is a man, apparently.
But that does help for the longevity of careers. She said, "We're not doing it for awards. If you're not doing it for awards, then listen to me. Just make the good movies." Like I said, it's a different issue if you're saying that people who give the funding aren't taking female directors seriously. That's a different issue than saying you didn't nominate. There may not have been movies of the high enough caliber directed by women this year to give a woman director a nomination. That may just be a simple fact. It may not be that they were trying to be prejudicial in their nominations.
Yeah. Look, I mean, talent always rises to the top. It really does. So if you want more women being nominated, make sure that there's more women doing a good job. And guess what? You're a woman and you are a director. Maybe start putting out the kind of quality that's going to get you nominated, and then you could be that woman. Quit doing the Wonder Woman 1984 kind of stupid shit.
Alfred Hitchcock. You've heard of him, right?
Yeah, I am kind of familiar with his work.
I don't believe he ever won a Best Director and Oscar nomination.
True. That's true.
So you can still be a great director and never get a nomination. Did David Lynch ever get a Best Director nomination?
I think he got nominated, yeah.
Did Tarantino ever get a Best Director nomination? Or even a win? Definitely not a win.
Oh, I don't know.
So just do the work, and
yeah,
that's all I can tell you.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Quit bitching. I can't hear what you're saying over the lack of what you've done.
Of course, there were women directors. Elizabeth Banks for. Oh, let me get back to you on that. Well,
yeah, we're getting to that one.
Cocaine Bear will get nominated, maybe.
Honestly, though, okay, there we go. Cocaine Bear does very well. Is it Oscar material? I'd be really hard pressed to find anyone that would say yeah to that.
I don't think I or anyone else is saying women can't be great directors. You know, what was my favorite superhero movies was The Punisher Warzone. That was a woman director. That was a complete badass movie, and it had a female director. Okay, it's just.
Well, here's the other thing too. Do these people think that when people go to the movies, they're going, well, I would like to see this Star Wars movie, but it was directed by a woman, so I'm not going to see it now.
Oh, people don't pay attention to directors.
Nobody even knows. Half the time, even directors I like, I'll see a movie and go, I didn't know that was directed by so-and-so.
I used to see movies based on directors. I was a real big film buff, like in the 90s, even during the aughts. But I think that fell off because later on, Hollywood and even itself was like saying, we don't care about the director. I remember one time, like the last decade, I saw Blade Runner 2049 and I saw Sicario. I'm like, wow, Blade Runner 2049 and Sicario, they're like in my top 3 movies. Who directed those movies? They both had the same director, Denis Villeneuve. I was shocked. I'm like,
there you go.
Because they're completely different movies, but I didn't realize they had the same director.
Yeah, and that kind of blows you away. You're like, oh, no kidding, right? And I was thinking, next article, maybe we should skip the order because I think it would flow better.
Let's jump in.
Because since we already had
the comment, let's go to.
Give me a second. Unfortunately, the length of these links. Damn it. There we go. So yeah, we're getting Velma 2.0. Something to look forward to. I mean, we were so gung-ho about Cocaine Bear. She figures maybe now she's got enough cred to go back to what she really wants to do.
Well, let's read the article and give her a fair shake. Yabba Dabba Doo, Elizabeth Banks' Flintstones sequel series Bedrock has landed at Fox. The network is developing the primetime animated adult comedy. Okay, the word adult, right there. Now I'm scared.
Done. Should not be an adult comedy with a family-friendly IP. There is just no world where that is appropriate.
Series with Charlie Angels and Hunger Games star set to voice Pebbles Flintstone, in addition to producing. Banks has been developing a Flintstones project for a couple of years with Warner Brothers Animation as part of her overall deal with the studio via her Brownstone Productions. It comes 10 years after Seth MacFarlane developed a reboot of the Flintstones at Fox, although it didn't go forward. Bedrock would follow the Flintstone family 2 decades after the original, with Fred on the brink of retirement and a 20-something Pebbles embarking on her own career. As the Stone Age gives way to a shiny, enlightened new Bronze Age, the residents of Bedrock will find this evolution harder than a swing from Bam Bam's club. It will be interesting to see where Banks Pebbles is in her life in the Flintstones canon, as seen in ABC's 1993 made-for-television animated movie Pebbles, voices by Megan Mullally, works for an advertising agency, marries Bam Bam, and ends up moving to Holly Rock, a fictional version of Hollywood. The pilot script is being written by Lindsay Kearns, who has written Jurassic World, Camp Cretaceous, and DC Superhero Girls. The original series, produced by Hanna-Barbera Productions, ran for 6 seasons on ABC and was the first animated series to air in prime time. Fox's AVOD service Tubi has acquired the rights to all 166 episodes of the show and will launch it on May 1st, coming on the back of its recent 60th anniversary. So I guess you can watch it for free, huh?
Yeah. Now, don't be mistaken. I mean, you're going to also see a lot of pictures of this going around right now because back in 71, 72, they aged up Pebbles to be a teenager. And she was dating Bam Bam. So that was the Pebbles and Bam Bam show and the Flintstones Comedy Hour in 71 and 72. And then they tried reviving that concept with the Flintstones Comedy Show in 1981. So this is not, completely, out in left field. But those were still very much kid-friendly, family fare. Saturday morning cartoon type stuff.
Yeah. But again, it was on in prime time. But yeah, the kids could watch it. I don't know. I really do not want more adult series where they, they have Pebbles acting in a bad fashion. This is just I'm worried about this. I'm concerned. I'll say that.
I mean, I was not joking when I said this is just Velma 2.0. These cultural vandals just want to not only destroy history and destroy everything that you ever loved, but they want to destroy childhood. They are literally going after your kids, folks.
Yeah, they've been warning this one for a while. I'm waiting for it to finally premiere, just to see if it's going to be what we think it's going to be. I don't know that anything could be worse than Velma, though, but we'll see. So Pebbles will be having it. Yeah, maybe. Surreality. I don't know what they're going to plan. Maybe Bam Bam, they'll make fun of...
No. They don't want to do that
they'll
because...
make fun of the size of Bam Bam's club or something.
Yeah. And they'll make him stupid and, barely literate because bam, bam, bam,
Fred will be getting divorced, emotional abuse for several years, cited as the reason. Toxic male Fred, right? You think it's going to be like that?
I don't know.
Okay, let's move on. Speaking of cartoons...
we going forward or are we going back?
We're going backward. Toxic Crusaders.
Gotcha. Well, that's not a cartoon. That's gaming.
It was a cartoon, though. Did you ever watch the Toxic Crusaders?
I've seen it. I didn't watch it avidly.
It was weird. Fox back in the early... children's cartoons back in the early 90s were bizarre.
Because it was a cartoon based on Toxic Avenger, right?
Yes. It was inspired. Yeah, I think it was a trauma cartoon.
And it was one of those things. I was like, that makes about as much sense as the RoboCop cartoon.
Oh, the RoboCop cartoon. The RoboCop
or what's it? Rambo cartoon.
I made a joke that if they did a RoboCop cartoon, I almost wanted Adult Swim and maybe to even get Clint Eastwood on board, and they could have done a Filmation version of a Dirty Harry cartoon series for kids from the 70s.
Oh my gosh. Well, it's funny because we're kind of doing the reverse, right? They're taking all these kids cartoons and making them adult comedies. And back in the 80s, we were taking very R-rated type things and making kids cartoons out of them.
Yeah, so you had the Toxic Crusaders. You had they had a Killer Tomatoes cartoon. Did you know that?
I kind of did, yeah.
What was funny about it was I caught some old clips of it on streaming somewhere, and apparently Weird Al Yankovic was hosting the Fox Kids cartoons, and he was hosting the premiere of the Revenge of the Killer Tomatoes cartoon. And what is more, I guess, late 80s, early 90s than Weird Al hosting weird Fox cartoons, right?
Right.
But the funny thing about the Killer Tomatoes cartoon was when I remember watching it as a kid, and I was already familiar with Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead, and I remember watching Killer Tomatoes, and I'm like, this is a zombie apocalypse show for kids.
Yeah, basically.
And I guess Toxic Crusaders, though, was another one of these shows in that line, and Toxic Crusaders announced new beat-em-up game from the Toxic Avenger. This is interesting to me. Publisher and developer Retrowave has announced the Toxic Crusaders, a new beat-em-up game loosely based on cult classic slasher franchise, The Toxic Adventure. Details are scant, but Toxic Crusaders, not Toxic Avengers, is launching sometime later in 2023 for Windows, PC, via Steam, Xbox One, Xbox Series XS, Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5. So basically anything you own, it's going to be available on. Game will be playable at PAX East. Here's the rundown on the game, plus its reveal trailer. When the evil Dr. Killamoff attacks, only one team of hideously deformed creatures of superhuman size and strength stands between him and his plans for global pollution. The Toxic Crusaders, Earth's last, greatest, and ugliest hope for survival. The hottest heroes of 1991 return for a radical radioactive beat-em-up for a new era, featuring awesome action, crushing combos, and more toxic waste than you'll know what to do with. It's cleanup time. Choose from several playable characters, including Toxie, No Zone Junkyard, Major Disaster, and Headbanger, who would technically count as two characters if they could only agree on something. Plus, for the first time, playing as Toxie's musically gifted girlfriend, Yvonne, and the mother of all mothers, Mrs. Junko, Toxie's mom. Battle across 7 disgusting levels rendered in beautiful full-color pixel art as you defend Tromaville from the hordes of radiation rangers, mutated thugs, and zombie chickens. The odds might be stacked against you, but with awesome powers, a winning personality, and up to 4-player co-op on your side, the Smogulan Empire's days are numbered. This looks pretty neat to me. I watched the trailer. Last year we had a game come out called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. It's based on the old beat 'em ups, but really based on the 80s cartoon series. A lot of callbacks to that. This looks cut from the same cloth. I hope it turns out well.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it looks cool. And this makes me want to watch the original cartoon again, which unfortunately I don't think is currently on DVD. I think it's streaming on some weird streaming service, though, but I'm sure there are other ways to watch.
I mean, if these companies are smart, they'll find a way to license it and get it out there. You build these synergies if you have any brains.
Troy Pacelli, even Starship Troopers had a CGI animated series that was an amalgamation of the books, the movie and the books. While toned down for kids, it presented a mature take for war. They did a good job. That was actually, did you know about that? The Starship
No,
Troopers
I did not.
It was actually produced by Paul Verhoeven. It was CG animated, so the bugs looked like they did in the movies. And it was an original, like a remake of the story from the movies. And it was interesting because all of the episodes, they would do like 4 or 5 part story arcs. So like one episode they crash land on a moon or a planet and there are these firebugs, and it's all about them dealing with this over 5 episodes. So it's like all these, basically these campaigns, like war campaigns, all the soldiers are stuck in.
Seems almost like an anime kind of way of storytelling.
Kind of, yeah. It was just a really cool American cartoon, and it actually brought stuff in, I think, from the novels. Like, I think the Skinnies, that were another alien race from the novels that the humans fought, they're in the series. In fact, actually, I think the human troop actually has a Skinny on their team at some point, because they eventually have to ally themselves with their former enemy to fight the Arachnids, which is interesting.
Wow.
And it was a pretty good cartoon, and I've been meaning to watch it. I think I bought the DVD set years back, but I've been meaning to watch it at some point. But I would catch it every now and then, and I liked what I saw. What was funny was the characters on the cartoon were more likable than the ones from the movie.
Yeah.
Because even though there was the distinction between citizen and civilian, like in the movie, the citizens didn't. As a citizen, you didn't look down on a civilian on the cartoon series. You look, as a citizen, it's my job to protect the civilians. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
It wasn't almost like a snobbery thing in the movies, like citizens can only vote and have children and other things, and it's this. No, that was interesting. Yep. Troy Pacelli, it's called Roughnecks, Starship Troopers. Starring Reno Romano as Johnny Rico, E.G. Daly as Dizzy. You should check it out. You're somewhat faithful to the books by Howland. Yeah, it's a good show. But I look forward to this Toxic Crusaders game. I hope they do well, and I'll look for it. And Wolfton Media might be interested in it because one of the characters looks like a werewolf.
There you go.
Yeah, so that you can play as. So that may be cool. Okay. Flintstones, we did that one already. Do we have anything left?
Yeah, Seth Rogen.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Is this what we're ending on?
No, we've got the Mattel piece after that.
Okay, that's good. Let's put Seth Rogen in here.
Yeah, this is a quick one. We don't have to spend a lot of time on it.
A ton of time on this.
Apparently, the poor baby was devastated by the bad reviews for Green Hornet
you should have
and the interview. Yeah. Okay. Exactly.
I want to make a point that when I saw the Green Hornet, I eventually caught it, I was looking forward to the Green Hornet.
Right.
I didn't even mind that Seth Rogen was in it. I didn't hate Seth Rogen at the time. I thought, okay, he's a comic actor. He's an up-and-coming young comic actor. Maybe that's the point. They're putting like a character you wouldn't see as a superhero in this. Because, of course, the Green Hornet, as we know, at least from the old show, he's kind of portrays himself as a villain, even though he's really the hero, right?
Right.
Which I think is a clever take on a superhero thing. And I was looking forward to this movie, and it was terrible.
Yep.
Ostensibly terrible. I'm like, okay, but Mikhail Gondry's superhero from the Green Hornet, adapted from the 1936 radio adventure serial and subsequent 1966 TV series, was not well received when it hit theaters in 2011. The film currently has an unremarkable 44% approval rating on Rotten Tomatoes and fails whilst frustrating between the high-energy superhero parody and crass low-art comedy. Green Hornet was written by its star Seth Rogen and his frequent writing partner Evan Goldberg, and the two seem to feel that Rogen's slobby screen persona would be enough to freshen up an otherwise pat vigilante story. Let me see. He goes on to say, no one can shield themselves from criticism, and no piece of art should ever be removed from critical consideration. But Rogan, in an interview with the Diary of a CEO podcast, wanted it known that negative reviews can sting, and sting deeply. Indeed, Rogan feels that if critics knew how much the reviews can hurt, then critics wouldn't be so quick to lambast or dismiss a movie. He doesn't bother to acknowledge, however, how badly some critics fare in the general cinematic discourse. When a critic gives a bad review to the Green Hornet, they are communicating their honest frustration with the film's less successful elements, perhaps bristling over its blunt lack of thought, the messaging terribly involved, and the execution not terribly exciting. No critic with a modicum of professional integrity will slam a film with the express purpose of trying to make the filmmaker feel bad. A good critic is carrying on a conversation about what does not function in a piece of art. They are in a constant state of reassessing their beloved medium and seeking out the most positive examples. No critic enters a movie hoping to hate it. It's amazed to be impressed and taken entirely by surprise. Seth Rogen would also do well to realize how often critics are stung in return. We are often accused of being killjoys or of misunderstanding movies. We are often called contrarians. In many cases, we are accused of corruption. It's frequent that critics are assumed to be accepting bribes in exchange for a positive review. Seeing as a critic is nothing without their honesty, such a bribe would never be taken. It also implies that a positive review from a single critic is worth a great deal attached to a studio, which I suspect is not the case. Anyway, though, here's what I want to make a point. I remember in the old days of Siskel and Ebert. Remember them?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And they once get a reason. Don't you feel bad for all the people who made this movie that you're trashing? All the workers, the production people, and everything else. And you know what they said? I feel bad for the poor schmo who spent $5 on a terrible movie.
Yeah.
We're protecting them.
That's exactly right. Look, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen, is what I'm going to say. Look, you are too damn rich to play the victim. You don't like it, find another area of business. Seriously. Here's the old saying, right? For lack of guidance, a nation falls, but many advisors make victory assured. Proverbs 11:14. Mm-hmm. And if you have any brains, you receive criticism with eagerness because you see it as an opportunity to do better. And you get a lot of advice from a lot of critics. Because, yeah, it's absolutely true. You can have one asshole that just is a contrarian that just wants to crap all over you. But if everybody's saying it, you really need to step back and go, am I the idiot here? Am I the one that screwed up? Because you know what? You just might be.
Seth Rogen, shell shock. Please don't say that. You're making me think of that Turtles movie that's coming out. Which... I don't get it. I almost hate to use this term, but I think of the term snowflake.
Yep.
When I hear that.
That is a perfect example of where that's very much appropriate. It's don't expect sympathy from the people that you shit all over, and then say, "Oh, poor woe is me." Yeah.
Seth Rogen didn't care what the haters think. I don't think he's being consistent. Anyway,
not at all.
I don't know. I want to keep something in mind that when Seth Rogen started his career, I was actually on his side. I thought, okay, he's the everyman comic, like a Jim Belushi or something like that. I thought he was going to be like that type,
He lost sight of that real fast.
I feel like he's one of these, like a nerd that became one of the popular kids or something, and then became the bully himself. That's what he's reminding me of.
Yep.
It's funny because one of my few indulgences I give myself this week is that I am trying to catch up on Cobra Kai.
Oh, yeah.
And I find the character of Hawk very interesting because he strikes me. I'm watching season 2 right now. I'm trying to get through that. And he strikes me as the kid, the kid that was bullied, but now he's becoming the bully himself.
Yep.
And
that arc continues. I mean, he comes around all the way. I mean, it's interesting. I don't think I'm like spoiling anything. It doesn't. It's not just comic bookish. There's more nuance to it than that. All of the characters kind of go back and forth. I mean, and it's kind of set up with the original two characters, right? With Daniel
LaRusso,
with Daniel and
Johnny Lawrence.
Johnny, right, yeah. Right? Because you come to realize the guys that you thought was the bad guy and the good guy, you know, they kind of, you could see them on the other side too, and they literally come to terms with that by, I guess, what are we at after the 4th season?
Yeah.
They're both kind of understanding. Yeah, I was a jerk sometimes I'm the good guy, and they become friends because of it, right?
Yeah, well, what I liked about that was there was one scene in this season when a bunch of the Cobra Kai kids show up with Miyagi-Do, right? Because they left Cobra Kai studio.
Yeah,
and you know, and the Johnny Lawrence sounds like, you can't let them in. They're Cobra Kai. Once a snake, always a snake. And then Daniel has to go up in front of them and say, "Listen, people can come back from Cobra Kai. How do you know that? Because I did."
That's right.
We forget Karate Kid Part 3. He was getting training
Karate Kid
by.
3.
He didn't know it at the time, but it was a Cobra Kai instructor.
Yep.
And he was getting the bad advice, and he was going to the dark side. So yes, even he was capable of going down that dark path. So,
but I unfortunately I feel like in real life that's not really how it goes. People switch sides and then they just spiral, and that's I can kind of think where someone like Seth Rogen is at now.
I don't know. I think he throw James Franco under the bus too.
Yep.
After he was accused, because he was friends with him. I don't like the guy.
Yeah. He's given me nothing to respect him for.
Like, it's not like a Patty Jenkins, like, who I find annoying, but maybe she can make a good movie, or maybe she can read it. Seth Rogen, I just don't.
I have no interest in anything he does. Yeah. I just he can go to hell. I don't care.
All right. But so now we got toys to talk about.
Yep. This is my wheelhouse. Why Marvel aims to be in the driver's seat. Oh, I'm sorry.
You said Mattel.
I see. I know. I'm so used to. No, I'm so used to talking about. No, it's Hasbro that okay. does the Marvel. I'm just so used to talking about Marvel all the time. You're right. Why Mattel aims to be in the driver's seat for its films and TV shows. And come on, guys, let's face it. You know, the best toys came from the best cartoons and vice versa. So.
Okay, I'll read. On March 10th, Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves, the big-budgeted bet based on Hasbro's role-playing game franchise, premiered at South by Southwest opening night, titled to mostly positive reviews from critics in Austin. The early takes are a sign that Hasbro, which co-produced the film through its E1 division with Paramount, could score box office win that would amplify the Dungeons brand across its gaming ventures.
Yeah, good luck with that.
That bow, as well as the generally well-received premiere for Ava Longoria's Cheetos origin... What? Ava Longoria's Cheetos origin story pick, Flaming Hot for Searchlight, animated a chat among entertainment execs on March 13th with the possibility that the based on a true product error of Hollywood optioning is now fully upon the industry. Coming up as the surprise closing night at South by Southwest, Ben Affleck's Air, the Amazon and MGM film that tells the Michael Jordan shoe origin story that asks viewers to root for an underdog marketing team of Nike.
Okay, I see what this is. I didn't know anything about this Ava Longoria project, but now that I looked it up, it's the same basic concept as of that Tetris movie. So you hear this title and you're like, the hell are they doing? But then when you know the story behind it, you're like, that would make a good movie.
What is Eva Longoria working at some restaurant and like?
No.
There's some birds that get dusted with cheese dust and.
Do you know the story about how Cheetos started doing the Flamin' Hots?
No.
It's a great story.
Okay, I believe you. Okay.
Oh no! I don't want to ruin it. It's definitely okay. As more material comes out for this, I have to believe you're going to find out more about it. I've heard this story before. It's
considered one of the number one American snacks is the Flaming Hot Cheetos, apparently. So. Okay.
And you know what? I'm going to have to go back to Latino Slant and see if he's done anything about this because this is going to be This is gonna be big. Who's lined up? It's Annie Gonzalez, Jesse Garcia, Bobby Soto. Oh, this is gonna be good. And directed by Eva Longoria. I'm in on this already just because I already know the story. So don't poo-poo it like that. It's the same reaction I had.
No, I wasn't going to poo-poo it because I championed the Tetris movie, so I have no right.
But you had no way to know because it was the same reaction I had when you said the Tetris movie, right? So now I'm this wasn't even about Eva Longoria and Cheetos, but I'm kind of psyched for that. I'm sorry. Let's get back to toys.
Now I'm thinking Yoko Ono's Tetris movie. It was just a guy sitting in front of a TV screen playing Tetris for 2 hours straight.
And a screaming every now and again.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. One company that's likely watching closely to the product time, Mattel. CEO Nan Krantz arrived in 2018 with a background running Endemol and Maker Studios, is now readying its film division first launch. The Greta Gerwig-directed Warner Brothers collaboration Barbie, a box office hit, could similarly help Mattel, which saw weaker than expected holiday revenue in the fourth quarter of last year with net sales of $1.4 billion, down 22% year to year. Its stock is down 9% year to date in 2023. Wouldn't a movie about the making of the Barbie doll have been more interesting than what they're doing, maybe?
Probably.
Okay, for a long time, we were just a licensee, so people would come to us and option our brands from us, and we weren't controlling that storytelling, said Mattel Films VP Elizabeth Basson during the South by Southwest panel organized by Concord Originals. And now we've seen the power of toys in the marketplace as storytellers, and we have realized that if we're not in the driver's seats, those stories might not get told in the way we want them to be. The hope is that filmmakers can take some creative risks and allow talent to have leeway to tell stories that might resonate with viewers beyond, say, a 90-minute ad for a toy. It's a double-edged sword because we've got so much pre-awareness but no story, Basson said of a 45-page Mattel IP that consists of 200 products, brand titles that could have story potential. The toy giant, like rival Hasbro, has rolled the dice that it can turbocharge its sales by pushing to become a franchise-driven entertainment giant, or as CEO Craze noted on the February 8th earnings call, capturing the full value of our IP. That includes working with the David Ellison-led Top Gun Maverick producer Skydance Media on a live-action Matchbox Cars film, among other projects. Ironically, as Mattel is wrapping up its Hollywood ambitions, Hasbro appears to be looking to get back to the licensee business and has put its in-house E1 division back up for sale just a few years after buying the production house in a $4 billion all-cash deal. The film division was created to lean into every side of storytelling for RP to be able to service and utilize every aspect of that storytelling, Mrs. Basson told. Am I repeating myself? So whatever is best for that piece of IT, we're going to develop that and tell a story. And sometimes that means multiple different areas. There's a couple of different He-Man shows on right now. Maybe keep a better eye on some of those He-Man shows. Mattel partnered with Tom Hanks for his Playtone label on an adaptation of 1960s action figure Major Matt Mason, an astronaut who lives on the moon. The project was unveiled in 2011, and in 2019, the actor was announced to star in an adaptation, though there's been no further development news since. So they could theoretically base a movie on a toy that was created 50 years ago.
Yeah. And let's face it, some of them make perfect sense, right? I mean, you got Barbie. Let's put a pin in that one. American Girl, I believe, is Mattel.
You do a lot with American Girl.
Thomas the Tank Engine, I think. I don't know if that's a licensee or they own it. But Hot Wheels, they could find a very interesting take on that. Now, you made the point about a Barbie, either live action or cartoon show about Barbie, which would fall under Mattel. But if they were to also do a story about the history of how the Barbie doll came into existence, that would be a good story too, and that could still be under their auspices. There's no reason it couldn't be.
They could do both. Okay.
Now, they have a lot of IPs that, and again, I don't know what they own and what they license. I know what they make. and what is associated with them, but I don't know if they're licenses or not. So like Bob the Builder, for example. I know Mattel does the toys for that. They could really, with stuff like that, Big Boots, Barney, I mean, they could really start to eat up the whole child, cartoon series type thing. I mean, let's face it, we don't have anybody else right now because Disney is pretty much dead. You remember Big Jim? That's another one that Mattel does. I know this is a licensee. I mentioned that Hasbro does the Marvel toys, but Mattel does DC. I know they're not ever going to do a DC movie, but who knows? If what we speculated last week, maybe Warner Brothers decides they want to sell DC. This could be the way, who knows? There are a lot of possibilities. But again, I put a pin in Barbie because as a narrative story for Barbie, Mattel has gone hard on woke for Barbie, which has pissed off a lot of parents. And if they're going to continue that as they go into American Girl and other things in their newfound film aspirations, that ain't going to be a lot of fun.
Let's see. Toy Company's film division is also developing a feature with Universal based on the tabletop boxing game Rock'em Sock'em Robots, which has Vin Diesel attached to star and produced via One Razor Brand. Rock'em
that
Sock'em
could
Robots
be good.
Movie. What are you laughing at?
Netter's comment. Put a pin in Barbie. Is she a voodoo doll? That would actually make for a good movie, too.
Okay, so in 2021, Mattel unveiled plans to develop an adaptation with MGM of doll line Polly Pocket with Lily Collins starring in a film to be directed by Lena Dunham. Last year, the company pacted with J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot to produce a live-action movie to bring his Hot Wheels cars to...
In one breath, you brought up all the names that tell me this is doomed.
And on March 8th, Mattel and Edimo Shine unveiled Hot Wheels Ultimate Challenge reality show format that will air a 10-episode series on NBC. What is Hot Wheels Ultimate Challenge? Is that where you build things to race the Hot Wheels in and going to win a prize or something?
In this case, I don't know, but that actually sounds like a very interesting kind of story. And if they do it as a it's not really a game show, a reality show, competition show, that could actually be really good.
Like a Pinewood Derby sort of thing.
Right, because both Hot Wheels and their competition, Matchbox, back in the 70s when I was growing up, you had these plastic tracks that you could put together and link up and do loop-de-loops and stuff, and that was some pretty awesome stuff. That could be good again, and that would be great marketing, right? Because we've already established that reality, in quotes, reality TV shows that are unscripted, in quotes, unscripted, and have much lower production value are much better earners because they have the lower production value, right?
Is that an actual doll, Pregnant Barbie? Did that happen?
It wasn't Barbie herself. Oh. It was another character, but yeah, it was, and you'll see it in all the lists of bad ideas. But yeah, what it was is the Barbie doll. It wasn't Barbie. It was another character, but same body, and it had a removable stomach, and you'd put the baby in with the baby bump over it, and then you'd take it off and you'd put the flat belly on. Yes, I kid you not. It was a thing that happened.
This is like the Barbie version of that movie series, It's Alive. There's something wrong with the Davis baby.
There was a lot of dumb ideas they came up with for Barbie. Back in the 80s, there was this idea, when the rollerblading thing became popular, they had dazzling rollerblading Barbie or something.
That. Yeah, commercials for that.
And as you'd put, the wheels really turned, but they turned and made sparks. Those sparks were a fire hazard.
Now I'm seeing a Barbie Dreamhouse getting caught on fire. But if you look at the things on our slate that have been announced, we're working with Tom Hanks. We're working with Lena Dunham.
Yeah, that's not good.
We're working with Vin Diesel. Basson said we're working with people across the board.
Vin Diesel is the only name that you mentioned there that I could say, okay, I can see that.
Lena Dunham? What would she be involved in?
She should be involved with nothing that involves children. And honestly, I'm starting to think the same thing about Tom Hanks these days. Just saying.
At any rate, Tom Hanks, I guess major something lives on the moon. Okay, I don't know. All right, that's it. That's it for the night. We excited for Mattel taking over.
I was going into this, but then when I started thinking about Barbie, and then I hear they got Lena Dunham lined up. No.
She was on that HBO show, Girls. That was Apatow was involved in that. I didn't realize that. Another reason I don't like that man. Okay, I don't know if Birdman answered if there was a Batman show, but keep an eye on his channel tomorrow.
Yeah, just in case there is, I'm dropping that link. Just subscribe to his channel. As always,
movie soundtrack and boxes. He's like a guru when it comes to movie soundtracks. You will find out anything you need to know, and you can join me on his channel on Wednesday evening. We will be doing a rewatch of. We should be doing a rewatch of Black Sunday. Yeah. Was in Black Sunday?
Vaguely.
Okay.
We got.
I should know the answer to that question before I ask it. Hold on.
We got a very busy night on Tuesday, guys. So you may not be able to make it all, but at 4:30 Central, 5:30 Eastern, I'll be with Pops on Pop Culture. We're going to be talking about Dungeons and Dragons. Probably a little bit about the movie, a little bit about some of the goofiness that's been going on, and what the fans really want from Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, that should be interesting. Pops is a great channel. You should check out his content. And
then later
you going to talk about the movie coming out?
Yes, we'll talk about that. We're also going to talk about some fan productions, such as The Gamers and Gamers 2: Dorkness Rising. We'll talk about that. And
Gamers.
Yeah, you'll find out about it.
Darkness Rising. Okay.
We will explain it all to you on Tuesday.
Mr. Matchstick, the Batman, Superman animated movies. We'll be talking about those on Tuesday. I'm very excited for that because I'm a big fan of those. I remember those first. I don't know why they didn't continue that line. They only did 2 of them. That was a comic series. We should have gotten more.
I collected that comic series. The reintroduction of Supergirl in the post-crisis era. Yeah,
they did that in the second movie. I thought we were going to get a third. Was the third story Emperor Joker? Just out of curiosity. Was that in that line? The Emperor Joker story, was that in the Batman Superman?
In the comics line, yeah, it was.
Yeah, okay. Because I thought we were going to get that as the third movie, but it didn't happen. But
and what time is that? Because that's the one thing I didn't put down in my.
I believe it'll be at 8:30 though.
8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central. Okay,
Central time. That's right. But like I said, I'll be coming home from work.
That's going to be a busy day for me, but that's okay. That's Tuesday night. You already mentioned Wednesday.
Birdman, Bruce Dern was in Black Sunday. Yeah. So, let's see what else is coming out.
Then we got Thursday night over on Netters Network. Currently calling it Thursday Things That May or May Not Stick. We'll see. By all means, stop by on Thursday and tell us what you think of the title. Tell us if you have a better idea. Give us some ideas for topics for Netter. And, hey, those of you that are content creators, if you want to guest on Netter's channel, send her a DM. She'd be happy to.
It should be the You're Almost There. You're almost to Friday.
Yeah.
Robert
it's a Friday Eve stream.
Oh, no. That'll be confusing.
Yeah, right.
People will be like, it's not Friday. Okay. And then Friday, you will be having a rewatch on your channel of...
oh, yeah. The Legend of Eddie Wilson, Part 1. A 2-night event with Big Al Presents. That's regular time, 9 Central, 10 Eastern. We will look back at 1964 and the disappearance of a great rock and roll legend, Eddie Wilson.
Yes. And you'll have to follow up Eddie the Cruiser.
And then we will follow that up on Big Al Presents.
Yes.
The following night, Saturday, same bat time. I actually, Eddie, the Legend of Eddie Wilson Part 2. Eddie Lives. Kind of a spoiler there, actually. 2-night event with the Big Al Presents. So those are the links directly to those streams. So you can go ahead and right click on them. Don't left click. Don't leave us. We're not done yet. And hit the notification so that you get a little note when we go live. But you guys will remember because you guys are always there.
Keep an eye out for Janet from Other Planets channel. Also, Deleted Scenes. Subscribe to him as well. He does streams as well, and he's with us often. Trying to think of anything else that's coming up. I guess that's it until next Sunday, where
we have no idea. See, that's the thing.
What can they mess up next? I think the Muppets are due for a screw up. They need to mess up the Muppets.
I feel like
that needs to happen.
The Muppets have been Disney's biggest success by not doing anything with them. For crying out loud.
So I think it's time that they did something. They scar the Muppets for us. I think
don't put
next.
that into the universe, man. Seriously.
Why did they need both the Muppets and the Simpsons? When is enough enough? I feel like Steven Seagal in that movie On Deadly Ground. When is enough enough? When he says to Michael Caine.
Yeah.
You ever see On Deadly Ground?
It's
him versus Big Oil, and then he gives us an environmentalist speech at the end. That would be a good rewatch with Fat Steven Seagal.
Oh yeah, it might be. You're right.
It is such a horrible movie. On Deadly Ground. That's it. I guess it's time to leave. I don't want to go, but I have to go to work tomorrow. So do you. And it's a busy week this week. But thank you all for tuning in, and stay tuned the rest of the week to see us. And there's Janet from Another Planet. You guys can check her channel out. She has words of wisdom usually daily, right?
Absolutely. Yes. And they're usually positive, too.
Usually, or funny. You'll get a chuckle, or you'll get to think about something. Thank you, Auditor Dread. Appreciate you being here. Everybody, thanks for showing up. Hit that like button if you haven't already, and if you're listening to this on the later on, leave a comment. I'll do my best to answer it. All right, y'all take care. Have a good week, and that's it.
Bye-bye. Take care.